Next man up, 102.5, The Game, Jake Lyman, Cory Curtis from News 2, and Parker Kelly with you on your Wednesday morning, broadcasting live from the Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville studios, home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership, where the buzz is always about great service. It is great to have Cory Curtis back in studio. Cory, what's going on?
I got nothing. So, Parker, Jake, if you guys want to be right today, you can be right today. You'll still be dumb, but you'll be right because I don't have the strength to fight you.
He's going to just give it a pass this time.
Yeah.
What's today's argument? Do we know?
See, I just said to Cory, I was like, I don't think I have anything all that controversial on the grid today, but you just never know when these arguments will come up.
You know, it's been interesting because talking about the playoff and the size of the playoff, I think the SEC is kind of on an island, right?
Yeah, and it doesn't seem like they're a very united island right now.
No, I think we're headed to 16 in a minimum.
Yeah, and it doesn't seem like the Big Ten is even considering 16. So
yeah, and I don't think the ACC or the Big 12 wants 16.
No.
So as I say, they're on an island.
Greg Sankey is on an island with a couple of other
Kirby Smart.
Right.
Kirby Smart is like, we should break away and go play ourselves. And the Iowa State AD had something to say about that.
Yeah.
Go for it. Enjoy.
Yeah, you go do that and see how it works out. I saw Danny White said that he's on board with the 2014 playoff.
Of course he is.
Gives him some more job security.
That's what I say. All these coaches who know they need to make the playoffs.
Yeah, was it Mike Elko yesterday? They asked him, what's your ideal number? And he said 40. That way I can keep my job.
That's why Brett Bielema.
Right.
He's like 48.
Yeah. As many as we can put in there.
Yeah.
Great.
Okay. So, and I know this isn't on the grid, but I'm going to talk about it since it's here.
Go ahead.
Greg Sankey at the thing was talking about, valuing the regular season. And not having meaningless games. He talks about the NFL has meaningless games at the end of the season.
Yeah.
And he's correct. The NFL does, but the NFL also only has 32 teams. Whereas they have 100, whatever.
30 something. Yep.
And look, I am on board that too many is too many. But I also understand, if you go to say 16, let's just throw that number out there. It's safe right now. Yes, you might have a team or two who's like, yeah, I don't need to try the last game of the season. But that's one or two games you're talking about.
Yep.
How many other games become important because teams are still in it? And he brought up Oklahoma last year. Going into November, Oklahoma was out.
Yes.
And then they go to Knoxville, and that was a huge game for both teams. For both teams, that was a gigantic game. It was giant on the college landscape.
Yep.
Oklahoma won. It started their run into the college football playoff. It creates more opportunities for big games than it diminishes, in my estimation.
That is a good point, because there are going to be games that in the past,
no, it's not a good point. It's not a good point. Is it not a good point? You're just you're taking me. This is going to be today's argument.
Okay, no, that's fine. That's fine.
So you're taking meaning off of other games and you're putting it on other games. Yeah, you're not creating more meaning. The meaning's already there. No, you're just putting it on different games.
I'm creating more games.
More games that mean something.
So you're taking.
There's going to be a couple of games that you lose because teams have something sewed up, but you're going to have way more teams that are in the playoff mix where the games matter.
You're taking the meaning off of, let's say, Ohio State, Michigan, and putting it on 8-4 Louisville versus 8-4 SMU for a chance to make a 2014 playoff. That's what you're doing.
No, it's not.
That game never would have had meaning before.
Ohio State and Michigan could be for
anyway.
a bye. Right?
Even Greg Sankey says the rivalry games will still have meaning anyway.
Yeah. I'm still not on board with the 2014 playoff, but I do understand what you're saying of
I said 16.
Iowa
it brings more teams into the mix.
Right. Iowa and Minnesota late in the season would have meaning, where in the past it's just another game.
And anybody with 4 losses is not getting in unless it's Alabama.
I do think
there will be a 16-team playoff.
Yeah, not in a 16-team. 2014, yes. I think you'll get some 8-4 teams in.
Really?
Maybe 1 or 2 every year.
Maybe.
Like Iowa was 8-4 last year. They were 23rd in the final CFP rankings.
Yeah.
So I am starting to lean that we might get a 2014 playoff, because it does not seem like we thought the SEC was going to push back against it this week, and it's honestly been the opposite. It's been more Sankey wants 16, but everybody else is on board with 24.
I think they understand they're on an island. is kind of what it sounds like. I think the bigger problem is how do they get to 16 or 24?
Yeah.
Like what's the process for selecting them?
Right.
That's going to be I think even the bigger problem, because the SEC and the Big Ten are going to want a guaranteed amount of teams. I think that's silly.
Yeah.
Because you shouldn't, you're the best two leagues. You shouldn't need to guarantee yourself anything. And if you do have to get, you guys need to reevaluate what the hell you're doing.
Especially in a 2014 playoff.
Yeah.
Like if you have teams that are outside of the top 24, they don't deserve.
How many did the SEC get in this 12-team playoff last year?
5.
So what are they worried about?
Yeah. I think the SEC would have had
like 7,
8. I think in
a 16
in a 24.
Yeah.
And the Big Ten would have had 7 or 8.
Yeah. So what do they need guarantees for?
Yeah. And that's why I would say if you're doing a 2014 playoff, 1 through 24, no auto bids, because if you're not in the top 24, you don't deserve to be in. And that may not sit well with the ACC, who in that format last year would have only gotten one team or two teams.
What poll are you using? Like a college football playoff poll that's separate from everything else?
Yeah, I think you'd still have the CFP committee.
Okay. So God, I hate invites. Ugh.
I know.
I like, because that's what I like about the NFL is you win.
Right.
You
win the games, and that's enough to get you in.
Yeah.
There has to be some level of subjectivity, I guess, especially in a 2014 playoff.
Yes, because you can't. Yeah, you're right.
It's
right.
just
there's no way around
it. Obviously, it's not ideal, but I do think they're going to get to 24. Like it does not seem like that is going to be avoided.
Yeah.
It may not be this year, but it's going to get to 24. I said yesterday, why not just stick with 12 this year and say we're going to 24 next year and give yourself a year to map out what that looks like, whether it's how the selections are made, what happens to conference championship games.
Mm-hmm.
Like you need more runway to figure this out than just, oh, we're going to 24 and we'll do it this year.
Like NIL in the portal. They just,
it's just like,
and then it's a mess.
You open up Pandora's box and just see what happens.
Well, that's why I'm like, why not just go to 16 and feel out 16 for a couple of years and say, hey, does this feel right?
Well, I did see I think it was John Sumrall yesterday who
from Florida.
He wasn't part of this decision, but he was saying a lot of SEC coaches are feeling like they were fooled last year when they were told if you do a 9-game conference schedule, you're going to get a 16-team playoff. And I think that calmed a lot of SEC coaches' nerves about like, man, if we have to play 10 Power 4 games every year, it's going to be tough for us to get into a 12-team
Clark Lee would
playoff.
have liked the 16-team playoff last year.
Right, exactly. And I think a lot of SEC coaches are like, well, the Big Ten was pushing and saying, if we go to 16, you've got to go to 9 conference games. And now they're saying we won't do 16, we'll only do 24. And so it's like there just needs to be a little more organization. And it's tough to do that when every conference and every school has their own opinions.
Why do you think we went from this giant flip from 16 to 24? Like all of a sudden everybody's like, hey, no, it's not 16. We need 24.
Yeah, that's what I don't understand is last year, the conversation was, all right, we're going to get to 16 at some point, but what's the format going to look like? The SEC wanted still just one conference champion and then the 11 at-large bids. Like it was the 5-11.
Do you think it's just financially driven, or do you think because this has got to come from the athletic directors, right?
And the presidents.
Not. The coaches can say whatever they want,
right?
But ultimately they're not the decision makers.
Yes.
And so yeah. I think a lot of it stems from wanting to get rid of the conference championship games and coming up with enough playoff games to make up for that lost revenue. But if they just spelled it out like that, and maybe some of them have, and I haven't read it, so I apologize. But I think they can say, hey, we want to do 16, but we also want to get rid of the conference championship games. And if we do that, we need more games to make up for it.
Right. And that's where the Big Ten was putting forward their 4-4-2 model last year, where you would have play-in games that would replace the conference championships. So third best team in the Big Ten and the sixth best team play.
But those aren't play-in games. Those are playoff games.
Right.
I hate that. It's like the NCAA basketball tournament. Those aren't play-in games. Those teams are in.
Well, and it's also funny because in that model, it would have been what, Parker? 4-4-2-2-1, right? So
4. Oh my gosh.
4-4-2-2-1-1.
4-4-2-2-1-1.
Okay.
Notre Dame group of 5.
You were going to have
Notre Dame would have gotten an auto bid?
They would be that extra one that's in there because there's 2 ones.
Okay, so that would leave you with what? 2 at-large bids?
Yeah, so it'd either be Notre Dame or an at-large.
So the way that it would work is those play-in games, they're not playoff games because let's say the 3rd best team in the SEC, let's just say it's Texas, and they play the 6th best team, Tennessee, in that play-in game. Tennessee upsets them. Texas could still get into the playoff as one of the at-large teams.
Okay.
If the committee believed they had the best resume.
So that's technically
So that's
an SEC playoff game and
right.
not a college football playoff game.
The SEC would get their 4 auto bids, and you'd have play-in games for the last 2. But the teams that lose those play-in games wouldn't necessarily be eliminated. They would have a chance at an at-large bid.
That's stupid.
Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of that format. I think 2014 playoffs and eliminate the conference championship games, but as Greg Sankey said yesterday, they've got contracts and conference championship games do bring in a lot of money for the conference. So they have to find out the right way to do that. That's why if you're hell bent on going to 24, which it seems like they are enough to believe it's going to happen at some point, stick with 12 this year and give yourself a year to figure it out instead of,
or go to 16 for a year. And
right.
And that's why I said, you can change. It's okay. You can change.
I just don't get why they didn't commit to a certain amount of time with this instead of making a decision year by year.
You know why? Because they're all greedy.
Yeah.
That's why.
I wish that when they went to 12, say, all right, we're going to sign a 5-year deal at 12 and we'll reevaluate after that.
Well, that's what a normal person thinks.
Yes.
Right? That's what a normal person thinks.
It's a mess, but
yeah,
we're gonna mix up the grid here a little bit. I was gonna have us start with the Titans, but because we got into this, we'll talk more about SEC meetings and some of this stuff. It's okay. I'm happy to change things around. We roll with the punches here. 615-737-1025. SEC meetings going on down in Destin. Lots of comments yesterday. We will dive into some of those coming up next. We'll also talk some Titans throughout the show. Also, ESPN ranked all 138 FBS quarterback situations for this season. I think where Vandy and Tennessee's quarterback situations might surprise you based on this ranking. So we'll do that later in the show as well. 615-737-1025. Our phone line's driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Jake Lyman, Cory Curtis, Parker Kelly, next man up. 1025 The Game. Next man up, 1025, the game, Jake Lyman, Cory Curtis, Parker Kelly. Back-to-back days, Parker telling them to let it be.
Every day until they quit this nonsense.
Keep the playoff at 12.
You're not going to win this, Parker.
No, because my voice doesn't matter, and apparently neither do the coaches.
Well, okay, so I ran a poll question yesterday asking people how many playoff games they would like to see, 8, 12, 16, or 24.
Yeah.
And the most popular answer was 16 at like 42%. But to your line, Parker, over 50% picked either 12 or 8.
Yes.
So that means over half said, don't touch it.
Which means no one wanted 24.
Yeah, it was like 4%. It was like 4%. I think everybody acknowledges that that's too many.
I actually voted on that poll.
Did you?
I voted 8.
Yeah.
I would have been fine with 8. I'm fine with 12.
I like 12. I mean, because we saw this year, the team that was 12 played for the championship.
Yeah.
So, I think with NIL and the portal, the field is bigger to win it all than it used to be.
Yes, you've spread out the talent.
Yeah, and so I think you can support a 12-team playoff. You might be able to support 16, but 12 is no.
I just hate that we continue to skip over common sense numbers, right? So you went from 2 to 4. That's a common sense number. Is you double it, you're at 4.
Went 4 to 8.
Yes. That would have been the next logical step. Instead, they're like, no, let's do 12.
Yeah.
And now you're at 12, and it's like, all right, the next common sense step would be go to 16.
Yeah.
Nope, we're going to skip it and go straight to 24.
Yep.
And I just don't get it.
Yeah, again, it's job security and a money grab.
Yeah, and, there were a lot of comments at SEC meetings yesterday from the coaches, and, a lot of them basically said what we've been saying is the coaches aren't going to be the ones making the decisions.
Nope.
But their voices, they can speak their mind of what they want. And I thought Clark Lee said it the best way he could. Of course, Clark Lee is in favor of an expanded playoff.
He got screwed
after his 10-win team did not make the playoff last year. And I thought he said it in the best way possible, which was as many teams as we can have that makes sense, I'm in for. And all coaches would agree with that, right? Like any coach out there that feels like his team can be a borderline top 25 team is going to want a 24-team playoff.
All right. Well, let me ask you this. Okay. So we know you can't invite everybody. We all acknowledge that.
Yep.
Somebody is going to get left out.
Yep.
But let's leave the numbers out of it. Okay. We're not saying how many teams are in. Let's just look at like resumes.
Yeah.
And I told you after last season, Notre Dame, Vanderbilt, and Texas were all playoff teams.
Yep.
Would you have had a problem with those 3 teams being in the playoff?
No.
Yeah. So those were playoff worthy teams. Correct?
Yes.
Okay. So that's what I'm getting at is like, so last year we had 15 playoff worthy teams. Now that doesn't mean we're going to have that every year. There might be a year where we have 10, but there might be a year where we have 18. But I don't see a year where we ever have 24.
That's a perfect way to put it, is that I think depending on the year, like the first year of the 12-team playoff, I'd have to look back, but I don't know if there were 12 worthy playoff teams. Like SMU was the last team in.
Yeah.
I don't know if SMU was a worthy playoff team.
Yeah, I would agree. I remember when they got in, everybody was like, and then they just got boat raced.
Yeah.
Well, that's my thing. I've never viewed the college football playoff as something that lets encapsulate every team that it has a chance, even the slightest chance of winning the national championship. I didn't shed a tear over Vanderbilt not making it in. I didn't shed a tear about Vanderbilt or Notre Dame or Texas either.
Well, I'm just saying my only point is those are playoff worthy teams.
Yes.
I mean, somebody's always going to get left out.
Exactly.
Somebody's always going to. But I guess, we're talking about what are the numbers. I'm like, you had good teams not in.
I think if you stuck Texas, maybe not Texas, 9-3, it would have been close, but Vanderbilt and Notre Dame's resumes up against SMU from the year before.
Oh, yeah.
Both of those teams are in
absolutely.
comfortably.
Absolutely.
So I think you look, and yes, you had teams that in any given year would have been playoff teams. It just wasn't last year.
Yeah.
And so
sometimes that just happens.
Right. But I agree with you that, yes, you might have 15, maybe even 16, 17 teams that you can look at and say are playoff worthy in a given year.
Mm-hmm.
I don't, at 24, I just don't see it. Like,
no, I don't see it either.
We've looked back at last year's. Let's look back 2 years ago. What were the final CFP rankings from 2 years ago? I want to see, like,
that's when Tennessee went to Ohio State, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So the final 2024 rankings, you would have had 9-3, Illinois, Syracuse, and Colorado all get in to the college football playoff.
Nobody's been clamoring for those teams to get in.
Right. And the year before, we did look at it and thought it would be close, right? Like Alabama at 9-3 thought they had a chance to get in. Miami was 10-2 with Cam Ward. You thought they had a chance to get in. Ole Miss and South Carolina even had arguments. But
yeah, South Carolina finished really strong.
You look at Alabama at 9-3, Ole Miss at 9-3, South Carolina 9-3. Vanderbilt and Texas and Notre Dame probably would have been ahead of all of those teams last year.
But I don't think anybody would have batted an eye at all of those teams making the playoffs.
Yeah, so that gets you to 16. And Clemson won the ACC. They were the 16th ranked team. They were a playoff team that year. So you look 16, I think you look at the last 2 years and say, all right, a 16-team playoff, those teams all would have felt at the very least worthy of being there.
Yeah.
But 24, you get further down that list and it's like, man, do we really need to see Army play Alabama in the first round? That would have been the matchup.
Well, I mean, like you start getting into 4 losses and
you would have gotten some great matchups that year.
I mean, like in the SEC, you're playing 9 conference games now and a Power 4 opponent.
Yeah.
So you're playing 10. We should be legit opponents. I mean, we know that they'll try to schedule, Rutgers and it's whoever.
Yeah, they're not all Power 4 opponents are created equal. I do think that expanding to 9 games for the SEC, as we heard John Summerall and some of the coaches say yesterday, when they did that, they were told the playoffs were going to expand.
Yeah.
So I think that's why you're seeing some of this split. Like the On3 poll yesterday said that they polled 14 SEC athletic directors, and 9 of them said that they wanted a playoff bigger than 16 teams.
Wow.
So that's
a majority.
It's a majority. And I think Greg Sankey is probably taking up for the ESPN interests.
Yeah, because they said they only wanted 16.
Yes, they said they did not want 24.
Well, then they could sell it to somebody else. Sell somebody else the first round.
Right, which is what, I mean, they've licensed some of their games out to Turner because it's Greg McElroy and Bob Wischusen are calling it, but it's on TNT or whatever.
Yeah.
So I think it's going to 24, especially after what we've heard the last couple days in Destin. I thought I didn't know if it would be a united front among the SEC about a 16 team, but I did not think it was going to be this split or even this much leaning towards a 24 team playoff.
Well, I mean, you heard the softening from Sankey.
Right.
And now that tells me why. Because he's in the minority. His bosses,
yes, he works for the presidents, not the other way around.
Yeah, I mean that they want expanded. I'm really surprised. Like I said, I'm not surprised that coaches, because they all say I made the playoffs. What more do you want from me? And so they want that opportunity. I get that, but I'm just surprised that there's this much thirst for 24. I mean,
so quickly too.
Well, yeah. Yeah, I mean, because like we've talked about, I mean, justify 24. And I haven't heard anybody say, yeah, I mean, like the 24th best team, they deserve to be in there.
Yeah,
I mean, part of the college football playoffs, and I'm sure Parker agrees with it. Part of it is it's the best teams, or it should be, and we still get blowouts. I mean, look what Oregon did to Texas Tech last year.
Yeah,
look what Ohio State did to everybody 2 years before that. I mean, we still have blowouts. But it's the best playing the best. I just think the pool of the best is bigger than it used to be, where it used to be 4 teams. Now with the portal and NIL, it's probably 10 to 16 on a yearly basis.
Yes, I think that is the right number, but that isn't what's in their mind. And I thought, again, Mike Elko. I thought what Mike Elko said yesterday was great. I mean, he said, what does Mike Elko want 40? We talked about that.
Yeah.
He says, then I won't get fired. But he says it's okay to make it hard to get into the playoff. And I think that's what everybody agrees upon.
Mm-hmm.
But Elko also said, none of us are answering for the good of the sport. We're answering for the good of ourselves.
Yeah.
And that's the issue that you have right now is everybody's looking out for their own self-interest,
Absolutely.
which of course that's what people and organizations are going to do. But I mean, I think that's the perfect way to put it, is that the people making these decisions aren't doing it because it's the best thing for college football. They're doing it because it's the best thing for their programs or their conference.
That's why Brett Bielema's like, yeah, give me like 48, let's
Right.
do it.
Let's just do, hey, you made 76 for the college basketball tournament. Let's just do 76 for the play a 6-game regular season and then start the playoff in October.
I'm not for raising that one either. I don't have a problem with 16. I don't. I'd be fine at 12, but I don't have a problem with 16. I can't go past there.
I always felt like 16 was going to be where it would end up.
That's the 1AA model for years. I don't know what 1AA is at now. So
and
whatever.
We continue to say it that once you go past a number, you're not going back.
Yeah, nobody ever goes back.
They're not going to go to 24 and say, you know what, 16 makes more sense. Let's go back.
Yeah, no,
it's only going to get bigger, and that's why I would love stick with 12. Give it a chance. We don't even know if 12 is the right number yet. It's been 2 years.
Yeah.
You don't have a large enough sample size. And I would say if you did 16, I think a lot of people would like 16. Yeah. But if you skip past it, there's no chance to even try.
Yeah. We talk about games that matter. I like the playoffs over bowl games because they matter.
Yes.
We get all these bowl games that don't matter. I don't watch 90% of them.
Yeah.
Because they don't matter.
Right.
And, college football playoff games, they matter. I'll watch. I don't know what the difference is for me. I mean, with the NFL, I hate the Jets and Jaguars, but if they play, I'll watch them.
Yeah.
But like when it gets to be bowl time, a lot of those games, no.
I think it's because there is like in the NFL, there's an interest in the players, right? Like if it's the Jets and Jaguars, it's like, maybe you want to watch Travis Hunter play.
Yeah.
Maybe you want to watch Garrett Wilson play. Maybe somebody's on your fantasy team. Like that's the NFL
I guess also the NFL is you just never know.
Yes. Like any given game can be one of the best games of the year.
The Titans can boat race the Chiefs at Nissan Stadium in the midst of a 3-14 campaign.
Right. I think with the NFL, they've done a nice job of you're bought in on everything that goes on around the NFL. Yeah. Whereas in the SEC, you might care about your SEC teams in an SEC game, but I don't care about Virginia Tech and Miami. Maybe it's going to be a good game.
You just think their orbit is a lot smaller. Like Alabama fan orbits around Alabama and the Southeastern Conference, but they just hate everything else.
Yeah. And so
and if you're an NFL team, like I'm a Bears fan, I orbit the Bears, I orbit the NFC North, but mainly I orbit the Bears in the entire NFL.
Yeah, right. And I think the NFL has gotten you bought in on everything going on instead of just your team or your conference. And so I guess that would be why.
Maybe only having 32 teams also matters.
Yeah.
Because you can know 32 teams.
Yes. And every team has a player that you would recognize.
I mean, shoot, the Big Ten practically has 32 teams.
They're over half. They're over half. 615-737-1025 is the phone number. SEC meetings continuing down in Destin. And they said that they don't think they're going to come to a decision. So this will continue to be a topic.
Because it's not their decision to make.
Right. Well,
that's why.
They're not going to choose what they feel like the right path forward for the SEC is.
Well, I mean, but again, if they choose 16 and they lose, that looks very bad.
Right.
If they choose 24, they're viewed as giving in.
Yes.
So they're just punting. Okay.
Yeah. And then whatever gets with 12,
and then whatever gets picked, they're going to go, okay, well, this is what our people were leaning towards anyway.
Right. So it's going to be a while, I think, until we get any final. I don't know when the deadline is that they have to let ESPN know what the format is, but I don't think we're getting an answer this week.
I don't think the SEC is going to let people know they took an L.
Yeah. Yeah. I would agree with that.
Because they viewed themselves as the straw that stirs the drink.
Yes. And especially you've lost 3 straight now. Like you haven't won
they haven't played.
You haven't played for a national championship in 3 years. So it's like you want to show that you're still the big dog, even though it may not look like that.
Yeah, I mean, if the Big Ten calls the shots on this, you really start to look like second fiddle.
Right. 615-737-1025 is the phone number. We will move on here. We're going to get back into the Titans coming up in the 10 o'clock hour, but it is a big day for Vanderbilt. I don't know if you know what's going on today.
Oh, is it like deadline day?
It's Tyler Tanner's decision day.
Okay.
So
I know Tyler Nickel is working out with Golden State
he is.
today.
I saw that. Yes. So it is decision day for Tyler Tanner. Will he come back to Vanderbilt? Will he go into the NBA draft? We will know at some point today. 615-737-1025. We'll talk about that coming up next. Today, the Nashville Sounds take on the Gwinnett Stripers at First Horizon Park, and first pitch is at 6:35. You can catch all of the action on 94.9 The Fan, presented by Twin Peaks Family Leisure, Maple Street Biscuit Company, and Social Cantina. The Stripers, the AAA affiliate of the Braves. So I know lots of Braves fans around town. Get to the Sounds game this Thursday through Saturday and keep your eyes on the sky. The Maple Street Biscuit Blaster is coming in hot. Jake Lyman, Cory Curtis, Parker Kelly with you on your Wednesday morning. Next man up, 102.5 The Game. The 615 Open Golf Tournament might be sold out, but you can bid on all kinds of awesome experiences to directly support Folds of Honor at 615open.com/auction. Have an unforgettable time while supporting a great cause. 615open.com/auction. Jake Lyman, Cory Curtis, Parker Kelly alongside you. It is a big day for Vanderbilt basketball. Tyler Tanner, he has entered his name into the draft, but today is the day he has to decide whether he will keep it there or return back to Vanderbilt for his junior season. And I think he's going to come back, but he has taken his time to get to this point. We've seen a lot of players make their final decisions at this point. It is absolutely massive for Vanderbilt whether he comes back or not. Like, I think they're a tournament team either way. They've made some good additions in the portal with,
T.O. 76 teams. I hope so.
Yeah, that is true. It has gotten a lot easier to make the tournament at this point.
I think you and me and Parker, we got a chance at that field.
I'm not so sure about that.
We had 2 more, and we're locks.
That's true. Grayson, the intern's back there. Grayson, can you give us some minutes off the bench?
No, he's a starter.
Oh, he's a starter.
We only got 3.
We only got 4.
3.
Maybe can we make a 1025 team as a whole? Like Derek Mason on our team, former NFL wide receiver. I'm sure he can hoop a little bit. Willie Donick, former Vanderbilt basketball player.
Yeah, get Willie.
There we go. The DVD team would be strong.
Sure. I have no knees left, so that would be problematic.
I could give you like 7 minutes of 3-and-D, and that's probably about it.
I'll shoot free throws. I'm designated free throw shooter.
Well, Vanderbilt would also be a tournament team.
Yeah.
They have added guys who can be starters if Tyler Tanner doesn't come back. Ace Glass from Washington State, T.O. Barrett from Missouri, but Tyler Tanner's an honorable mention All-American from last year.
20 points a game.
He could end up being one of the best players in the country if he comes back. I think Tyler Tanner being a part of this team moves Vanderbilt from probably being a 5, 6, 7 seed somewhere in there to maybe a 3 or a 4 seed next year with a chance to make a run.
If you're looking at it strictly as a financial decision, which is what I think this is, a couple of things become important. Number one, how much money is Vanderbilt bringing to the table? And I think you said the average starter in the SEC makes $2 million now.
I have no idea, actually.
I've
seen some TikToks of like these NIL agents who throw out like, here's what this type of player would make, but I have absolutely no clue.
So I have to think he'll make $2 or $3 million this year at Vanderbilt. Just guessing. And then where does he go in the NBA draft? Because look, if he goes 23rd or 24th, in that ballpark, there's a big difference between that and going like 15th or 16th.
Right.
Okay. And I'm talking in the millions of dollars per year on his rookie contract. So he could make more money by coming back, making like $3 million, which is what he would make on his rookie deal if he was drafted later in the first round, and then being drafted like 15th or 16th next year. And that would take him up to like $6 million a year. And he would make a lot more money. And next year's draft class is not viewed as deep as this one is. And so I think financially, from what I'm seeing, it would behoove him to come back. And I'm not, and usually, because you look at a guy like Nate Ament and you say, come back, put on some weight, work on this part of your game. I don't know what part of Tyler Tanner's game I want him to work on.
Yeah.
I mean,
he's pretty good at everything.
Well, he's one of the best defensive players in the league, right? He's one of the best shooters in the league. He can score inside and outside. And look, he can get better at all of them. But there's not like this hole in his game where you say, oh, if he does this, he's going to move up to 12. He kind of is what he is.
Right.
And that is a highly skilled, high-effort player who can shoot the basketball, but he's limited because he's 5'11" and a $165.
Yes.
And so, but there are other players in the league who have succeeded at that.
100%.
But they're not lottery picks generally.
Yes. Yeah. And that is a good point, that guys who are smaller usually fall out of the lottery area towards the back end of the first round into the second, because the NBA, I think more than any other sport, they're drafting on potential more than they are production. It's
Giannis.
Right. Exactly.
I mean, he was a little beanpole.
Right. But you look at it and you say, here's what he can become rather than here's what he is.
Here's what we project.
And so with Tyler Tanner, it's like,
this is what he is.
You might be drafting him feeling pretty confident that he could become a good backup point guard for you.
Yeah.
But would you rather take the guy who has boom or bust potential to be a superstar, because the NBA is a superstar driven league? Nate Ament in this mock draft I'm looking at is projected to go 13th to the Heat.
Yeah.
So I think he's a borderline lottery pick.
Yeah. I mean, he's still gonna make a lot of money at 13. I would be surprised if he went much later than that.
Yeah. I think if he wasn't a lottery pick, we'd be hearing more about a chance of him coming back, which that has not really been mentioned at all. So I think he is staying in the draft.
We haven't been hearing about a Nate Ament day, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Tyler Tanner, I think, is probably one of, if not the biggest name that has not made a decision.
Well, I mean,
yet.
look, his decision will impact all of college basketball.
Yep.
Because it will decide whether Vanderbilt is probably like a top 10 team or a top 25 team to start the season.
And I think you look at what Tennessee has done. Yeah. Bringing back Nate Ament would be great for them, but they've loaded up. That team looks like another Elite Eight team. Well, I mean, maybe a Final Four.
It is
team.
one of the most expensive teams in college basketball, is it not? Okay.
Yeah. And so with Vanderbilt coming back, that looks like maybe two of the best teams in the SEC. Now, Florida, of course, is going to be loaded again. Yep. But I think you would put Tennessee and Vanderbilt in that next tier as maybe not a 1 seed, but 2, 3, 4 seed.
Look, they're both top 15 teams to start the year.
Yeah.
If
Tanner comes back.
Yeah. All right. So put your money on the table. Is he coming back, or is he?
I think he's coming back.
I've
seen some of the beat writers who cover Vanderbilt have been putting out like little like eye emojis over the last 24 hours and like the thinking emoji.
Yeah.
I think he's coming back, but I have no idea. The mock draft does have him as the 27th pick.
Yeah.
This one that I'm looking at.
That's not good enough. That's not good enough. He needs to come back if that's the case, because there's no guarantee you're a first rounder then.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, especially in the NBA draft, it's like it's hard to guess a consensus of where a guy's going to go.
Yeah.
It honestly just takes a team.
Look, there could be some 6'11" kid from Senegal who's 18 years old.
Yeah.
And, they view him as high upside, and they're going to take him over you because you're 5'11", and that's it.
Right.
I mean, that's it.
And that's why I say that the NBA is so much more about projection than it is about, like, is this guy a good player right now, or can we develop him into a great player?
Yeah. Well, and again, everything I've heard is next year's draft class is not as deep.
Right.
And so, he shouldn't be worse.
Yes.
Right? I mean, he won't have Darius Acuff to go against next year.
Yeah. I mean, this is one of the best draft classes I think we've seen in a long time.
Like, this depth is really, I mean, when we're talking, look, on a normal year, Nate Ament is a top 8 pick.
Exactly. And that I was about to say that, of like, that's why people thought there was a chance Nate Ament might stay, is because if he comes back, works on his game a little bit more,
top 5,
he could end up being, one of those top guys in the draft. But when you have guys like DeBonsa and Peterson and Boozer and Caleb Wilson and Darius Acuff and Keaton Wagler, it's like, man, it's just, and it makes sense. We talked about how great this freshman class was all college basketball season long. So
I would say they should both come back personally, but
but
I would get why Ament would stay, because he's still in a position to make a lot of money.
Yes.
And if you're Ament and say you're going like 13th, you're going to a much better team.
Yes. Instead of going in the top 5.
Yes.
Because let's see. 13th is the Heat, which Heat are always a well-run organization.
Yep.
This one has him going 14th to the Charlotte Hornets, which 615-737-1025. We'll take your thoughts on this.
Can I go back?
Yeah.
Can I go?
Am I allowed to go back now?
If I don't sign the contract, can I go back?
People have tried it.
Yeah.
People
have signed the contract.
Yeah, people have signed the contract and said,
just ask Will Wade.
Yeah, there you go.
It's ask judges in Alabama. It's okay. We'll take you.
Speaking of which, the Brendan Sorsby stuff is going to court, and the judge that we talked about last week has recused himself.
Thank you.
So it won't be a Texas Tech grad who is going to be making.
I heard he was appealing to the Big 12 or to the NCAA.
Well, so the NCAA denied his appeal.
I would have laughed at him.
Yeah, the NCAA was like, you know what, we made this decision, but we're going to let you have another chance.
I got big feelings about this, and yeah, I know we got to go break.
We can talk about that coming up next. And if you have any thoughts out there on the Tyler Tanner situation, again, he has to make a decision by today. Could be this morning, could be right now it could be this afternoon, but at some point today, we will know whether Tyler Tanner is returning to Vanderbilt or not. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. You can also subscribe to our YouTube channel at 1025 The Game for live shows and exclusive content and chat with us there. Jake Lyman, Cory Curtis, Parker Kelly, next man up, 1025 The Game. Next man up, 1025, the game. Jake Lyman, Cory Curtis, Parker Kelly with you on this Wednesday. Cory and I were just talking. They've got Cody Rhodes on First Take right now, talking like he's a UFC fighter. Like, oh, he's getting ready for this fight coming up on Sunday. I'm just like, I heard I think I heard Joe Rexroad talk about this, and our resident wrestling fans at the station, Chase, Connor, Adam, may not be all that happy.
I loved the Macho Man growing up. Loved him.
Yes. And I think you said it best during the break of like, put wrestling on your air. Great. People like watching wrestling, and I have no problem with that. But talking to the wrestlers like they're actually preparing for a fight, and like it's.
And look, wrestling interviews are for Piper's Pit. Okay.
Yeah.
And for all the other little sideshow interview things they had in wrestling back in the good old days, it's not for Sports Center.
Yes, or First Take. Or...
This delegitimizes what you do. It does. It ruins your credibility.
It's like in Draft Day when they had Rich Eisen and Chris Berman do all those like fake reactions to the stuff that's going on. Like, it's a script. Like you can. I won't get it. We're gonna get text from the wrestling people being like,
this doesn't mean I hate wrestling.
No, and I'm not a wrestling person. I have tried to watch it, but like I do agree. Like, let's talk about real sports on ESPN.
Are they real athletes?
Yes,
they are.
Yeah,
are they real entertainers? Yes, they are. But let's not pretend that the matches are real.
Yes, the stuff that they do is very impressive.
Yes, but it's entertaining. I watched the hell out of it as a kid.
But yes, this is. This does not need to be talked about with Stephen A. Smith.
The Macho Man and his capes were amazing. Off the top rope. I mean, when we start going, instead of in the ring off the top rope to outside the ring off the top rope with the elbow.
Yeah.
It was next level. It's next level.
Yeah, I guess they're in Italy this Sunday. So anyway,
congratulations, Italy.
We did touch on the Brendan Sorsby stuff before the break.
Oh yeah, sorry.
Just quickly, so the judge did recuse himself. I saw that last week.
because he knew his judgment would have no bearing whatsoever.
Exactly. And I believe his court date is set for June 1st. So next week will be when you'll find out. The deadline for the supplemental draft is June 22nd, I believe.
What can his argument possibly be?
We played the Billy Madison clip of what he said of wanting to feel connected to the team. Like,
load of crap.
There's just no chance that it actually works out for him.
I am adamant about this. Okay, I know you can't bet.
Yep.
I like to wager. Parker, do you like to wager? Okay, he's on the phone. Okay, I like to wager. I haven't made a bet in 6 months.
Yep.
Well, not in 6 months. I made a bet since the NFL playoffs. Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
And I'm fine. This guy has a problem.
Yes.
Okay. And if he really wanted to make an appeal, he would have come out and said, I have a problem.
Yeah.
I have an illness, and it has taken control of my life, and I apologize to everyone who it has affected negatively.
Yeah.
I am seeking help. I will continue to seek help for the rest of my life. And all I can ask for is forgiveness and another chance to prove that not only have I changed, but I want to change.
Yes.
But when you throw out excuses like I was doing it to get close, that delegitimizes anything that you have that says you're sorry about it and that you don't. I mean, that doesn't say to me he thinks he has a problem. He went to get help because he had to. And the world is full of addicts who go and get help because they have to, and then they fail. They only get better when they truly want to.
Yes.
And I don't hear from him, until he is contrite like that. I'm not even willing to listen to it.
Well, and I'm very glad that he's going to rehab and trying to get better, but that can't be your defense for why.
Well, but according to him, he doesn't have a problem. According to him, he's just doing it to be a good guy, right?
To invest in his teammates.
Yeah. See, this is my problem.
Yeah.
Is if he checked himself into rehab and says, I have a problem and I'll handle football when I get this problem under control, then you get people on your side. Then you get people believing you. And then you get people considering, should we give him another chance?
Yeah. And he's not going to play college football again.
No, he's not going to get drafted.
So the supplemental draft,
he's not going to get drafted.
I want to find.
You don't think the Browns would take shots?
So they're the only team in the league that dumb that would do that. Yes, I could see the Browns.
He may
doing
win that job too.
They might use a first-round pick on him and abandon next year's first-round pick because they didn't realize they could get him with a 7th.
And give him a fully guaranteed contract.
Yes.
So
the first round, they're all fully
Yeah,
guaranteed.
That's true.
So Pete Thamel, this got removed from this article. Very interesting. So there was an article talking about the quarterback class for this next year, and there was a section. Oh, here it is. Editor's note. Texas Tech quarterback Brennan Sorsby was originally included in this list, but was removed after the NCAA denied his request for reinstatement on Tuesday. So, and it says his eligibility for 2026 and the 2027 NFL draft are uncertain. So I guess that's why they removed him. But in this article, it did say they asked evaluators, and what would you bid in the supplemental draft for Brennan Sorsby? And a couple did say they'd consider a late day 3 pick. So he could, I don't think anybody's doing a 2nd or 3rd round pick, but I think there might be somebody with a 6th or a 7th say, let's take a shot on him.
Look, the issue isn't the talent. The issue is, what are you bringing into your building?
Yeah.
This is a compromised individual, a guy who owes gamblers money. Okay. That's not what you want
it's not ideal
in your building. And I have a really hard time finding, look, unless you think he's your starter, why are you taking that chance?
That's fair.
And so I don't see somebody go, well, we'll use a 6. Maybe he's our starter.
I just think if you look at the talent that he has, the risk of a 6th or 7th round pick is probably worth it for some team.
It's not the risk of the pick. It's the risk of the person that you're bringing into your building and information getting out to people that you don't want to have it because he owes people money and because he has a problem.
I think you would have to do a lot of digging to feel comfortable.
I don't think you have to do a lot of digging. I think you could do a little bit of digging and go, yeah, this is a bad idea.
Well, if you want to feel comfortable with it, you would have to do a lot of digging.
I look, he's got, to me, one course on this, and that is to get help, admit he's got a problem, and then play his way back into the league.
Yeah, like UFL.
UFL or Canada, and play his way back into the league. That's it. I could be dead wrong. And you know what? If he goes and he makes $1 million and goes to the NFL Hall of Fame, congratulations, I was wrong. But knowing what I know about the NFL outside of the Cleveland Browns, I don't see it.
615-737-1025 is the phone number. We'll take your thoughts. We see you waiting on the phone, Dustin. We'll get you coming up next. We'll get into the Titans after this. There were some comments from Peter Skoronski that might give us a hint at how the offensive line competitions are going to go. Jake Lyman, Cory Curtis, Parker Kelly, next man up, 102.5 The Game. Next man up, 102.5 The Game. Jake Lyman, Cory Curtis, Parker Kelly alongside you on your Wednesday morning. We are broadcasting from the Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville studios, home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership, where the buzz is always about great service. We are going to talk Titans offensive line this hour, as Peter Skoronski made some comments last week that may have hinted at one of the competitions that we see on the interior of the group. But first, let's go to our phone lines, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Dustin in Hopkinsville is called in. Dustin, thanks for calling. Good morning.
Good morning. And y'all were talking about something totally different. I'm going to talk about so the wrestling guys, like there's wrestling where guys wear the helmets and the tights.
Yeah.
And then there's theatrics and there's a producer behind it. Let me ask y'all something. Would you call football a sport? If
Yes.
It was planned out. Some of you say football is planned out. I don't. But would you guys call football a sport if there was a guy producing what happens on the field? Not how the game is conducted, from singing the national anthem, who sings it, what you do, when you do it, the in-game stuff. That is not a sport. Those guys practice for theater. They do gymnastics. They do yoga. And, yes, they lift weights. They are athletes, in my opinion.
Absolutely.
However, they are not playing a sport.
Nope.
You're watching a soap opera, and a man watching something. Man and soap opera, I don't think should ever go together, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's the.
Y'all have a good one.
Thanks for the call,
Yeah,
Dustin.
he's just agreeing with what we said.
Yeah, he's agreeing. Have you ever seen the South Park wrestling episode?
No, but I think I need to.
You should. It's funny. So they start doing their own wrestling show, but it just turns into like Shakespearean, like Broadway theater, or there's all these like, oh my goodness, like she backstabbed him, and it's like and people go out there and like, oh, I love wrestling.
I always remember the Always Sunny in Philadelphia when they brought in Roddy Piper. Those were a couple of good episodes.
That's a show. I've seen episodes of it, but I have
It's
not.
so uncomfortable to watch.
I need to watch more of it because I've heard that it's great.
It's very funny. It's just very uncomfortable at times.
Yeah,
because they're horrible people. It's like Seinfeld on steroids. Just horrible people.
I think that's a very good way of putting it, because that's kind of what it feels like. Is Seinfeld on steroids. I've watched a little bit of Curb Your Enthusiasm too. Like that one gets really uncomfortable too with Larry David,
which was one of the main primary writers of Seinfeld.
Right. Yes. George is based on him.
Yes, it is.
615-737-1025 is our phone number if you want to text or call. So the Titans had their first open OTA last Thursday and got to see what Carnell Tate looked like,
which everybody loved.
Good early returns on Carnell Tate. Got to see some Cam Ward, but also some select players spoke. And I saw this quote from Peter Skoronski over the weekend, and I wanted to get to it here, talking about the competitions at center and right guard. Mm-hmm. And here was what he had to say. Parker, let me know when you've got it ready. We've kind of gone through and looked at, there's 5 guys at center and right guard who are all competing. Now, Pat Coogan and Austin Sloatman are centers. Mm-hmm. Then Cordell Volson and Fernando Carmona are guards. Jackson Slater, Robert Saleh said he's working more at guard than he is at center.
Well, he's a guard center swing.
Right.
And the other 2 are tackle guard swings.
Yeah, I really hope that Carmona or Volson don't have to play tackle this year.
No, but I'm just saying that
right.
When you look at, like, that's what guys do.
Yes. If you're a guard, you started somewhere else.
Well, you have to be able to play one or the other.
Yes.
Because guys have to move around sometimes. So you're either a guard center swing or a guard tackle swing.
Yes. And we've talked about how the Titans need a swing tackle, and I'll bang the table for that more. I guess Austin Deculus is the guy in that role right now, based on what we saw.
He was one of the terrible tackles with the Chargers last year.
Yes. So that's a hole as well. But center and right guard are the 2 biggest question marks in the starting lineup for the Titans. Here is what Peter Skoronski had to say about those competitions.
Peter, what have you seen from the competition for the center and the right guard spots so far? I know it's early, but what have you seen from those 2 spots?
I've definitely seen a ton of professionalism from all those guys, really. Austin Schlottman's been in the system, so he knows it really well, and has kind of been the anchor of that group because of how well he knows the system. But he's a pro. He's been in the league for forever, and totally what I expected in terms of his professionalism, ability, his intelligence at the center position, which you need. And so that's been awesome. Then Cordell and Jackson, I think, have been really good and sledding around, but have been really on top of things schematically, which has been the biggest challenge so far since we haven't done much in the field. But everyone's really held up the standards. Everyone's competing really well, and they've all been real pros about everything. I think that's been impressive.
It did not bring up the rookies by name.
Yeah, and I guess it makes sense, right? They haven't worked with the rookies a ton, but the only mentioning Austin, he said Schlottman. I think it's Schlottman. Like, we'll have to get a firm answer on that.
I'm not going to disagree with Peter. He's 320
Right,
pounds,
that is true. Whatever you say, Mr. Skoronsky. But he only mentioned Austin Schlottman at the center position.
Well, because the backup's the rookie, and I said he didn't mention the rookies.
Yes, and I think it is going to be Schlottman at center to start the season.
Yeah,
I don't know if
like
that's a huge surprise, given that he did work with Brian Dable and worked with Carmen Brasillo last year with New York, and they made it a priority to bring him over. Now, I do think they probably kicked the tires on some other centers and would have preferred Schlottman to be their backup at center, but it seems like there is some faith in him to be the starting guy, at the very least in week one. You hope that a young guy like a Pat Coogan can eventually make that jump and be your starting center, but obviously a 6th-round pick, there's no guarantees.
It's interesting because it just seems like they didn't have the stomach to pay money at center because, obviously Linderbaum went for what he went, but the kid from Memphis who plays for the Raiders.
Dylan Parham.
Yeah, I mean, he got like $8-10 million.
Yeah.
And, supposedly they were in on him.
That's why, TD mentioned him a couple of times as a guy they'd be targeting.
And when it got late, I thought, he'll be the guy.
Yep.
And they just, I guess, did not view him as worth whatever that was. Like, what is Schlottman getting? Like 2.5?
Yeah, something like that.
I mean, it's not a lot. And so I guess they said, you know what, the level of play, we'll do it for this.
3.5, 2 years, $7 million.
Yeah. So for $5 million a year less, they must view the difference as infantile. And again, he knows the system, and they have some comfort with that. And I asked about Jackson Slater last week, and he definitively was playing guard. But, I didn't get an impassioned answer from Robert Saleh on that. And I try not to read too much into that. But usually there's a little glimmer in people's eyes when they feel something about something.
Yeah.
And it was just a very straightforward, he's playing guard. We want to work at guard. So it just doesn't feel like anybody's challenging Schlottman.
Yes, that's kind of how I view it too. But I think you're right that they just didn't feel like overspending at center. I would guess they kicked the tires on a lot of those guys. I know Fortner, Biotish wasn't out there this year, I don't think.
I know they were in on Rutledge in the draft.
Yeah.
And, what is he a center or is he a guard? I don't know what they viewed him as.
Right.
But he was a guy I think they wanted.
I think the talk was they tried to trade up for him.
Yes.
And the Texans jumped in front and got him.
Yeah.
So I do think they at least put out feelers for other centers. But as Dave Ziegler said in his press conference, free agency, these guys have other options and money is involved. And sometimes you just don't get the guy that you want. I do worry a little bit about Austin Schlottman, who last year was the most snaps that he's played in a season.
Yeah.
He played 31% of the snaps last year.
Wow.
He did not play in 2024. He played 9 games in 2023 with Minnesota, but previously with Denver, with Minnesota, he has never played more than 30% of snaps until last year.
And now you're going to have him be your starter.
Do you trust him to be your starting center? It's not like this is a young guy who's been developing. He's 30. He's in his 8th year in the league.
Yeah.
I'm not all that confident in him being the solution at center this year or for the long term.
Why should you be?
Right. What has he proven that would make you think that he can do that?
And why are they, and they won't answer this. They'll, people, why don't you ask him? Because we'll ask him and they'll say, well, he's a veteran. We really appreciate what he has to offer.
He knows the system.
He knows the system. It's an open competition. We want people competing for that spot. Whoever plays. He was brought here for a reason. He's a pro, blah, 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 blah. But that doesn't take away from the fact that it's not terrifying for you that this guy could be your starter when he's never played more than 30% of a season.
Yeah. He's started 18 games over 8 seasons.
Yeah.
Started 4 last year. Now he played in all 17, but most of that was special teams last year.
But we know how desperate teams are for offensive line play.
Yeah.
If he was a starter, he'd be starting somewhere.
Yes.
And so now he's here on an offensive line that finally got it together the second half of last season, and you're just going to bank on him. And again, maybe they are right, but he didn't start for them.
Yes, right. Yeah, like Dable and Brasillo had the opportunity to start him last year, and they
didn't start then.
And so I think you can take both sides of that. Of clearly they trust him as somebody that is going to make their roster.
Yeah.
But do you trust him as a starter? And I don't know if I do. And it seems like there's not a whole lot of challenge there.
Well,
whether it's
you've got a rookie and a second-year guy who's a guard, and a center. I mean, you say there's competition. The rookie's a 6th-round pick. I don't know how much competition that is.
Yeah, and I think Peter Skoronsky said the quiet part out loud there is that there isn't much competition at center. It's Sloatman's job until you hear otherwise.
And again, we're a long way from this. They could bring in somebody else.
Right.
But we're talking about the numbers there. So if you're going to bring in somebody else, you're going to have to start cutting people.
Right. Let's see. You know what? We'll do this when we come back. We'll look at some of the centers that are out there. And so we got a question yesterday. I want to say it was 3337 who texted this in yesterday, and I wanted to get to it, and we never did. Does Mike Borgonzi take the brunt of the blame if the offensive line struggles this year? And do you maybe, like, I know you hate putting people on the hot seat here when you've had so much turnover, but the offensive line, I don't think it's been invested enough in this offseason with a second-year quarterback. And if things hit the fan this year, I do wonder if you can look at that and point the finger squarely at Mike Borgonzi and his front office staff for not doing enough at those two positions. We'll get into that coming up next. 615-737-1025 is the phone number, our phone and text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Jake Lyman, Cory Curtis, Parker Kelly, next man up, 102.5 The Game. Finely Tuned craft beer for finely tuned fans. Tennessee Brewworks is the official craft beer of our off-season coverage on 102.5 The Game. Off-season continuing into OTAs, and the offensive line continues to be a question mark in year 2 of Cam Ward here. Can they protect him? We are diving into the center competition, which right now it doesn't feel like there is much of a competition. Austin Slopeman is the heavy front runner there. Cordell Volson, Jackson Slater battling it out at right guard. We'll get back into that. Let's go to our phone lines driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Edward is called in. Edward, thanks for calling. What you got for us?
Hey, guys. Cory Curtis, Jake Lyman, we all know that the greatest athlete in the world is 16-time world champion Ric Flair, all right? To beat a man, you got to beat the man. Who has him in the locker room to give the pep talks? Professional major league teams. Of course, I'm tongue-in-cheek on this. But I wanted to ask Cory, do you think, what were your thoughts about Amy Adams showing up in Florida at the Spring League meeting and then playing an active role in the press conference with the governor and mayor and so forth and so on? I would like to get your thoughts on that. And you said, selling the team is not a possibility. Well, I'm going to say, you have some heavy hitters there in Nashville. The Ingram family, the Haslam family. What about the guy that owns Dollar General? There's a lot of different ways to go. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. It's an ownership issue. We'll be talking about the same things next year at this time also. Just my thoughts. Enjoy your show while I'm running over at Murphy Center. I appreciate it, guys.
Thanks for the call, Edward. We get that call a lot about Amy Adams Strunk from people of like, will she sell the team? No, I don't think that's in the cards whatsoever. And I understand what he's saying. Like, I'm sure there would be buyers if they wanted to sell the team.
Was she a bad owner when they had 6 straight winning seasons? No, I mean, look, you had 3 terrible years in a row. I get it.
Yeah,
I get it. And you've had volatility at the top, which needs to come to an end.
Yes.
But the only way it comes to an end is if you have good people making good decisions and you start winning some games.
Right.
I will continue to say you can argue about firing J-Rob and Vrabel, whether it was a good decision or not.
And the timing of it when she did those things.
You can argue that either way, and I understand that. But the bigger problem was she replaced them with 2 guys who were not good at their job.
Yep.
Now, they were 2 guys that were thought of as highly thought of candidates. So, I mean, look, I can't criticize them for hiring Brian Callahan. He was viewed as one of the top candidates out there. We all thought this is a well thought out hire, taking the Titans into the 21st century, throwing the football, young guy, under Joe Burrow, under Peyton Manning, under, Matt Stafford. But he didn't have it. He didn't have the leadership. He didn't have the vision to lead a football team and develop the young players that they have. And so she fired him. And firing them was not a bad decision. It was 100% the right decision.
Yep.
So now where do you go from here? You've got Borgonzi and you've got Saleh. They've got to deliver. They've got to deliver. The timeline is short in the NFL now. But, they need stability or she's going to continue to face this criticism because, you're based on wins and losses.
Right.
And they've had 3 terrible years in a row. But again, she was also the president who took over, got rid of Ken Wisenhunt, and put together 6 straight winning seasons. She's also the president that's completely rebuilt Vanderbilt Health Center, football center now, and is building a new stadium. Brought the draft to Nashville. I mean, it's not perfect. It's not a straight line. All right. Very few NFL teams are. Very few NFL teams are the Packers where you run, quarterback to quarterback to quarterback and you go. No, look, is anybody down in Miami right now claiming that Ross needs to go?
Maybe.
I mean, I haven't heard it.
I haven't heard it either, but
I mean,
he definitely has not been a good owner the last few years.
Yeah.
I mean, had the tampering violations. And
yeah,
all that
no,
kind of
he's
stuff
had
and
like
getting lawsuits.
he's gotten in big trouble.
Yeah.
Big trouble. That's what I'm saying. And nobody, look, if you don't like her, and look, I've talked to plenty of people who like are angry about her and don't like her, and that's fine. That's your opinion. Has she made mistakes? Yep. I've made mistakes. She's made mistakes. I just know this. She cares about winning and losing, and she puts her money where her mouth is. She's not cheap with the football team. She wants to win more than anything. She does.
Yep.
And if anything, if you've got, there can be something said for hiring football people and just letting them do their jobs. But at some point when those people aren't doing their jobs, you got to get rid of them.
Yes.
And again, it's like drafting a bad quarterback. It sets you back years.
Right.
And she hired a bad GM and a bad head coach. And instead of resetting, it sent him back again, and it made her look even worse.
Yep.
And so that's why, this is critical. And, we'll see where it goes. But, ownership can be a critical component. You're not wrong about that. We talk about the Cleveland Browns all the time.
Yeah.
Because that's just a disaster.
Yep.
One right after another. But I don't hear anybody saying Haslam has to sell.
Yeah.
And I mean, he's the one who gave Deshaun Watson $240 million guaranteed. All right. And I don't
That's
anybody.
Brown's starting quarterback, Deshaun Watson.
Well, and he's the one who made them draft Sanders last year, where they had like 5 quarterbacks in the room.
Yep.
I mean, he's sticking his nose into all this stuff.
Yep.
So I think, and I'm not accusing Edward of this, I'm just from what I hear, I think there's a lot of people who pick on her because she's a woman in the NFL, and I think
we've heard that before too. Yep.
And then I think there's a lot of people who are upset that she doesn't talk.
Yeah, and I think there's fair criticism there that when you make those big decisions, you should answer for them.
I agree with that. Like if it was your decision to fire Brian Callahan, I think you should answer to it.
Yes.
But again, she's the owner. She doesn't have to if she doesn't want to.
Yeah.
And not every owner is Jerry Jones. There are very few owners who you virtually never, ever hear from. Have you ever heard from the Rams owner?
Yeah, Kroenke.
Yeah. When was the last time you heard from him?
I can't remember, but I
okay, you can't remember.
Well, I don't follow the Rams on a daily basis.
I can't remember the last time I saw Kroenke in front of a microphone.
No, and I agree. Like Amy Adams-Strunk, I think when you make big decisions like that, and all the reporting has said that the firing of Callahan was her call.
Yes.
So
and she was right.
Yes, and I agree. He needed to go, but she should also stand up there and answer some questions on it.
I agree, but I don't think that makes her a bad owner, though.
No, I agree,
because she didn't answer questions about it. Believe me, I thought she should answer questions about it. In fact, I thought she should have stood up there and said, "You're damn right, I did."
Yeah.
Have you looked at our team? We're terrible. This isn't good enough. This isn't acceptable.
Yep.
And if the next guy comes in and he's this bad, he's fired too.
Well, and that takes us to kind of the conversation we were going to have is you want stability, but you also can't have stability just for stability's sake.
Yeah, you can't suck and say, well, we're going to keep everybody so we're stable.
Right. And I like what Mike Borgonzi has done as the GM so far. Again, very early on, a lot of his moves, we're not going to know if they were the right moves for a couple more years now. But I think it's pretty obvious when you look at this offensive line that he did not do enough this offseason.
That's the way it looks, for sure.
Maybe he gets lucky, and Austin Slopeman has been a diamond in the rough, and he turns into a solid center. Maybe Jackson Slater takes a big jump, and he is a good right guard. But those are a lot of big maybes. Those are a lot of big ifs.
That's shopping in the bargain bin for top-line players. So, I mean, these are starters.
Yes. You're right. You are building up a wall in front of Cam Ward.
And you shopped at Dollar General instead of at Macy's.
Yes.
Sorry, Dollar General. I know you're here and I love you, but the prices are it's called Dollar General for a reason.
Yeah. I don't think Dollar General would be upset with that comment.
Okay. They got free advertising.
There you go. 615-737-1025. We'll talk about that next. If the offensive line is a failure this year, how much blame do you put on Mike Borgonzi?
Oh my gosh. All of it. All of it.
Yeah.
All of it.
615-737-1025. Jake Lyman, Cory Curtis, Parker Kelly. Next man up. 102.5 The Game. 1025 The Game is your racing station. This weekend, catch all of the action as NASCAR comes to the Nashville Superspeedway on 1025 The Game, presented by City Auto and Nelson's Greenbrier Distillery. Friday, it's the Allegiance 200 at 6:30. Saturday, the Sports Illustrated Resorts 250 at 6. And on Sunday, the Cracker Barrel 400 at 5 p.m. Jake Lyman, Cory Curtis, Parker Kelly, next man up here on 1025 The Game. Going through the Titans offensive line. And that is the big hole that I view on this team right now. Like, there are a lot of positions that need more depth, but I think you look at top line starters at a lot of positions, they have filled a lot of those needs. Cornerback, they got Alante Taylor and Cordell Flott. They've added on the edge with Keldrick Falk and Jermaine Johnson. They've added at linebacker with Anthony Hill. On the offensive side, they've added at wide receiver. But offensive line is the one spot where you look and say, they probably got worse this offseason. I think most of the other position groups, I could say, they either got better or stayed the same. I think they got worse on the offensive line. And if that ends up leading to Cam Ward getting injured or leading to the offense struggling to be productive because your offensive line can't protect the quarterback or open holes in the run, I do think that's not going to bode well for Mike Borgonzi. Not saying that would be a fireable offense after 2 years, but I do think that questions would start to rise if he didn't address the offensive line and it ends up stunting this team's growth in 2026.
Well, and you've got over $60 million in cap space.
Yes, it's not like you were limited with your resources.
And believe me, I agree that just because you have money doesn't mean you write bad contracts. You have to stay disciplined.
Yes,
so
you don't spend money just to spend it.
No, but I mean, like you're talking about, this is where it starts.
Yes.
This is where it starts. And you better be darn confident that those guys are the answer, because if not, it is on you to answer. If those guys aren't good, I mean, it's on you.
Yes.
Because you had the money. Look, they could have signed Tyler Linderbaum.
They could have
still be $30 million under the cap.
Right. They could have signed Tyler Linderbaum to a $30 million deal and still have plenty of money to spend. Now, that doesn't mean you do it.
No,
but you decided, or maybe they did try everybody and just could not get anybody to sign. But you have gotten to this point in the offseason where Austin Sloatman and Cordell Volson are slated to be starters on the offensive line. You either better be confident in them or you better have a plan post June 1st or heading into training camp to replace them.
And look, you can say, well, look, these guys have played in the NFL. They're veterans, blah, 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 blah. What are you so upset about? And I'll say, look at their contracts. Their contracts say they're not starters.
Yes.
Their contracts say they're backups. Okay. But for this team, they're starting. Why are you starting backups when you have $60 million in cap space? That's a legitimate question.
No, it is a very legitimate question. I kind of want to look. So let's see. Center. The cap hit. Well, yeah, we'll say cap hit for center, where these guys would rank.
These are the guys that are left?
No, just out there in the league. Austin Sloatman is being paid as the 26th highest paid center in the league. And, you've obviously got some rookies in there too that are going to be lower. Corey Levin got $1.26 million with Atlanta. Lloyd Cushenberry is still out there. I know he signed with Buffalo.
Yeah.
So there's, not saying those guys would have been better, but that's what you moved on from to bring in Austin Sloatman. Is Sloatman an upgrade? He is making more money than both of those guys. But
is Cush getting nothing?
Cush is getting $1.2 million.
Wow.
Yeah.
He fell off a cliff.
Yeah. So I didn't hate the decision to move on from Lloyd Cushenberry. Didn't hate it. I
don't love the plan after.
But I think when you make that move, you have to have something that you think is going to improve that position. And I don't know if Austin Sloatman does that.
Again, he was not Brian Daboll's starter.
Yes.
Okay.
Right.
He was not Carmen Brasillo's starter.
And their starter wasn't exactly like, it was John Michael Schmitz, who is a fine center.
Isn't that the guy who killed Buckwheat on Saturday Night Live?
I mean, he's a fine center. He's, he played 68% of the snaps, which makes sense since Sloatman played 31.
Yeah. But I'm saying, so he wasn't good enough to start for you there.
Right.
Why is he good enough to start for you here?
Yeah. And I do think that they tried to make other moves. I think Dave Ziegler
They didn't try hard enough.
Dave Ziegler alluded to that when he said, like, free agency's tough because there's money involved and guys have other options. But you had the most money. If you
you still have the most money. If you
valued that position enough, you could have overpaid a little bit for somebody to make sure that you got them. And you didn't do it. And so I think that everybody understands that the offensive line, if you have a bad offensive line, no one else can do their jobs. It does not matter if you have prime Tom Brady, prime Jerry Rice, prime Calvin Johnson out there. If you can't protect the quarterback, you're probably not going to have a very good offense. It'll be fine with those guys, right? But it would not be the best that it can be. You don't have those guys. You have a young quarterback who took 50 sacks last year, 55 sacks?
Yeah. The last 7 or 8 games, though, that number dropped dramatically.
Yes. And your offensive line coming out of last season, I think that's the best I felt about the offensive line coming out of a season.
And 2 of those guys are probably gone unless Zeitler comes back.
Yes.
And maybe Zeitler is coming back. We don't know.
We don't know.
But he's also going to be near 16.
Yeah.
So, I mean, how great do we feel about it?
Right. And with Volson, I don't know if Zeitler is all that much of an upgrade talent-wise over what you have with Volson and Slater at this point in his career.
Former first-round pick.
Yes, but at his age, it's going to be a drop-off. And he was fine last year.
He got better.
He did get better throughout the year. I think the one thing that I would like about bringing Zeitler back is the experience that you put next to J.C. Latham.
Yep.
You saw J.C. Latham get better throughout the year. Putting Jackson Slater next to him, Volson played a lot in Cincinnati. He didn't play last year, but
we never viewed their offensive line as good.
Right. He was a starter on a bad offensive line.
We watched Joe Burrow get sacked 9 times and win, and it wasn't because of the offensive line. All right.
Right.
Well, he got sacked 9 times because of the offensive line, but he didn't win because of the offensive line.
And Matt says here, how can an organization not take care of an offensive line after it has been bad for so many years? I just cannot wrap my head around this.
Yeah.
And I agree completely that you've watched the downfall of this organization from being the number 1 seed in the playoffs in 2021 to where they are now. Now, there's other things that go into that. You didn't have great quarterback play for a little bit there, whether Tannehill was hurt and it was Malik Willis or, Will Levis under Brian Callahan. You didn't have good coaching. There's a lot of things that went into it. But you can look and say the offensive line play has been abysmal for the last 4.5 years.
I've been here since 2003. All right. I saw a lot of really good Titans offensive lines. And no matter what else the Titans had, I was usually pretty confident the offensive line was going to be good. It was going to be better than their skilled guys.
Yeah.
No. Last 4 or 5 years, it's been horrible.
You've had some of the worst tackle play in the NFL. And, it is crazy how much draft capital you have spent on the offensive line that has done nothing for you.
Yeah.
And that can be blamed on mostly John Robinson, I guess, because he took Wilson, he took Radens, he took Nicholas Petit-Frere. In fact, the only 2 guys that I'm hopeful about on the offensive line are Rand Carthon's first-round picks.
Well, look, Petit-Frere and Isaiah Wilson, they're not even in the league anymore.
I know. Yeah.
They're out.
Right. And you've tried to get Band-Aid solutions. You traded for Dennis Daly. Horrible. You signed Andre Dillard. Horrible.
Ugh,
it's
horrible.
It's just you've thrown all these resources and just can't get it right.
Well, just horrible decisions. You knew what those guys were.
Did the Titans maybe say this year they're like, hey, this organization has just tossed draft and free agency resources at offensive line. Let's just do nothing and see what happens.
You can't just pay guys because you have money.
Yeah.
Right. But you can pay the guys that you like.
Yeah.
All right. And if you didn't like Dylan Parham, fine. But if you did like him and you didn't pay for him and you thought he was better than Schlottman, then shame on you.
Yeah. And the center class was thin this year. There was not a whole lot of starting caliber centers on the market.
Did they think Rutledge was a center or a guard? Because the Texans, I think, have him at center.
Yeah. Yeah. I think at Georgia Tech he was a guard, but
I guess he's playing center in the NFL.
615-737-1025. Ryan in Florida says the Titans need 5 Bruce Matthews and then they'll be good. Great analysis there, Ryan.
They could use a Bruce Matthews and a Mike Munchak.
Yes. Yeah.
A couple of Hall of Famers side by side.
Nevada Josh says, how is it the offensive line has been worse since we got the offensive line guru? Make that make sense. with Bill Callahan, clearly Bill Callahan, it didn't work developing some of the guys, and you saw the offensive line get better after he left.
Yeah.
But there's also something to be said for no matter how good an offensive line coach is, I don't think he can turn bad into good. I think he can turn good into great, but you can't turn a bad player into a good player.
It is amazing how they kind of simplified things after he left. I mean, because they did. Like Callahan, like he never wanted to do the same thing twice. This is Bill.
Yeah.
I mean, they were running the same plays, but it was from different formations, and it was constantly changing up. And then when he left, Luke Stocker
simplified it.
Had a heavy hand in the run game, and we saw the run game improve, and then the pass protection improve exponentially.
Yeah.
Once they just got back to hitting the guy in front of them, they were a lot better football team.
Yeah.
And so I think there's something to that. I don't know what Carmen Brasillo's policy is. I don't know how. I'm not an expert.
Yeah.
All right. I'm not. We'll see what he can do. But yeah, I mean, and I don't know if it was the talent. I don't know if it was the guys. I don't know if it was, how he worked with his son. Maybe that just didn't work. I don't know.
Yeah, I didn't want to step on his toes or something like that.
But whatever it was, it did not work.
Yeah.
It did, because their offensive line play was abysmal.
Yes.
Everything was abysmal.
And Carmen Brasillo is well regarded around the NFL.
Yeah. I mean, Bill's got another job.
Right. Yeah, he's with Atlanta. He's in Atlanta.
Yeah.
With Brasillo, there's a lot of pressure that's on him. As much pressure as there can be on a position coach heading into a season. That Mike Borgonzi and Robert Saleh has a hand in these too. They have put a lot of pressure on Carmen Brasillo, saying, we are not giving you top-end talent, whether it's draft picks or free agency additions. We are giving you guys who have either been backups, been hurt, or were day 3 picks and are young. Turn that into a good starting offensive line.
Yeah.
And we're going to see if he can do it.
Look, I've seen guys in those scenarios come in and be good players for the Titans. Leroy Harris, Eugene Amano. I mean, Quit in Spain was like a 2-year starter for this football team. We've seen them do it with guys before. But, you also had Mike Munchak coaching a lot of those guys.
Yeah.
And, I guess you could say, well, these guys are kind of viewed like Munchak is. Well, they got to prove it to me.
Yep.
Because Munch's the best offensive line coach I've ever been around.
Yeah.
And so, I heard that about Bill Callahan. He was a nice guy and former Southern Illinois offensive coordinator. And so I'm all about it. But I didn't get the results from him.
Yeah.
That I got from Mike Munchak. Look, I watched Mike Munchak coach the offensive line for years. Then I watched him be the head coach, hire Bruce Matthews to be his offensive line coach, and then take over the offensive line coach after 4 games because it completely fell apart under Bruce, and he saved the day 2 years in a row.
Yeah. And I think Carmen Brasillo is a guy that Brian Daboll has trust in. Clearly, he brought him over from the Giants. And I said this yesterday. We were talking about you saw the video the Rock God guy did making fun,
criticizing
the drill. And I'm going to say the same thing here is I'm not in that building. I don't know what their plans are for these players. So I'm not going to say that it's going to be a complete disaster. But I think from the outside looking in, it's fair to say there are concerns at those spots and they have to quell those concerns.
What it is if it goes bad, everybody's going to say you didn't take it seriously. We're saying right now it doesn't look like you took it seriously.
Yes.
Like if you take it seriously and it goes bad, people go, "Oh, well, you tried."
Yeah.
You tried. It looks like you didn't try.
Yes.
It looks like you said, you went shopping in the discount bin and you got what you got.
Yeah. I think if it's if you went and signed Tyler Linderbaum and drafted Keelan Rutledge and
it didn't work out,
and it's like those are your center and right guard, and you spent a 1st-round pick and a high-level free agent, you can't blame Mike Borgonzi at that point.
No, we were all in.
Right.
Yeah.
But I think with what they've done this offseason, you can say that they did not check all the boxes on the offensive line, especially with a young quarterback that you want to keep upright. 615-737-1025. We'll take your thoughts. We'll wrap up hour number 2 after this. Jake Lyman, Cory Curtis, Parker Kelly, next man up, 102.5 The Game. Next man up, 102.5 The Game. Finishing up the second hour of the show. We'll get back into some college football stuff in the final hour, but talking Titans here and the offensive line. Lots of concern about that group heading into the 2026 season. Let's go back to our phone lines. Dustin Hopkinsville is called back in. Dustin, good morning. Go ahead.
I'm still pretty impressed with what Borgonzi's done to this point. You've seen guys try to build an offensive line and just miserably fail. He's putting his chips all in on getting Cam Ward the weapons and putting his chips all in on Cam Ward. He picked him, and that's what he should do. He is planning on Cam Ward getting that dang ball out a lot faster under Dable with these weapons with I'm dropping his name, New York Giants.
Wandale Robinson.
New York Giants. Yeah, Robinson and Tate. And Gunnar Helm, then what did he do? Catch 30 of 35 that touched his hands. So when all else fails, I feel like Gunnar Helm's going to be huge in this offense, and they're all just going to open up the offense to the point where it's going to be hard to really double team. The main thing that teams are going to have to do this team, I'm not saying this is some elite, we don't know that, but it has gotten much better on paper. It is very exciting. We have not had good wide receiver weapons, and finally somebody went above and beyond at 4 and may have overpicked Tate, but we don't know. I like the Tate pick. I love the weapon. I think they're going all in, and I'd rather be dead last or, man, we're taking off. I don't want to be mid, and we're questioning ourselves about Cam Ward in 3 years, man. Let's go ahead and get this out of the way. If he's missing throws to wide open receivers, we've got our answer another year in.
Yeah, thanks for the call, Dustin. And I agree with what Dustin's saying. I think the weapons have gotten a lot better, and that is good to see for your young quarterback. But the plan can't be, we're not going to invest in the offensive line. Cam, get the ball out faster.
Ask the Bengals about that.
Right. Like, yes, it'd be great if Cam Ward got the ball out faster. Part of that comes with his wide receivers getting open more, especially against press coverage. But I don't think you can say, yeah, we're not going to invest in the offensive line because Dable's going to have him throwing the ball quicker.
What was the biggest – okay, so as I've talked about, when Mike McCoy took over and Luke Stocker had a heavy hand in the run game at that point, what happened with the Titans?
They started playing better.
They ran the ball, and they scored 24 points like 5 or 6 times to finish the year. Where did that all start? Started up front. Started with the offensive line. It started with running the football. And when they were able to run the football, they were able to protect the quarterback better. Okay? So, again, I'm with them. They need the weapons, without question. But just because you address one doesn't mean you can't address the other.
Yeah.
Especially when you still have $60 million in cap space.
Yes.
Again, not for writing bad contracts, but I am for getting the guys that you think are better players. So if there wasn't a better player than Austin Schlottman and Volson. I can't ever remember his name.
Well, yeah, I looked. Cordell Volson is the 61st highest paid guard in the NFL.
Okay,
so
that's like second to last or
among
third to last.
starting guards. 50,000 more than Dylan Radins, who is 64th.
And so, I don't know how competitive you were to be higher end at those spots. I mean, again, the center wasn't good enough to start for you in New York. And the guard was a guard on a really bad offensive line that repeatedly got Joe Burrow hurt.
Yep. And I am not, again, I'm not in the room. I'm not watching the rookies, Coogan and Carmona and Slater and all these guys. Maybe that's why they feel like they didn't need to, because they think Slater is going to be a guy at something, or they really like Pat Coogan. But that decision came before you knew you would get Pat Coogan.
But really, when you signed Schlottman, were you like, hey, we're going to get Coogan in the 6th round
exactly.
and he's going to start for us?
That's not the plan.
No.
Now, it may work out, and, if you're going to blame Borgonzi if the offensive line fails, I think you can give him credit for oh, man, he found diamonds in the rough. But, it does not seem like they had a well-thought-out plan to address the offensive line this offseason when they cut Lloyd Cushenberry. And Lloyd Cushenberry clearly is not valued very much by the NFL
Yes.
based on what he's getting paid. So
that again, the discussion is not cutting Lloyd
Right,
Cushenberry. It's what you replaced him with.
Exactly. And that's it has me concerned heading into this year. I mean, there's plenty of concerns to have about this team, right? This is not a fully finished product, but I think number one has to be that the offensive line is not only a question mark at the top, there's also not a lot of depth. And you are one J.C. Latham injury from going Schlotman, Volson, Deculus on the right side of your line.
Yeah.
That is a recipe for disaster.
Yeah. No, it's not good. It's not. He wasn't good in the Chargers last year. I know
Right.
that.
Yeah,
There's a reason he was available.
Yes.
Right? I mean,
or Brandon Crenshaw Dixon. Pick your flavor of backup tackle that you currently have on the roster. So
they clearly like him.
Yeah, and maybe he's an undrafted free agent. Like you cannot be banking on that. So I'm concerned about the offensive line. Again, we're just gonna have to wait and see. But I do think that we're putting it out there now that it doesn't look like they've done enough. And if it is a disaster this year, I think that does fall on Mike Borgonzi and his front office for not making the moves necessary to fix it.
Look, we're 3 months away, so they still have time to bring in more bodies.
Yes, and June 1st is next week.
Who's available? Do you have a list?
The
of
list of centers,
and guards who are available?
Yeah, the centers.
I mean, obviously Zeitler is there, but and again, maybe Schlotman is the answer, but his resume says that he's not.
So available centers based on Spot Track, there are 7. James Daniels, who was with Miami.
Okay.
Graham Glasgow, 34 years old, from Detroit. Ethan Pocic from Cleveland. Ryan Bates from Chicago. Sam Mustafa from Denver. And Andre James from LA. Zeke Corral from Minnesota. So none of those names.
Yeah, none of that really screams
I'll
confidence.
take Austin Slopeman over any of those guys. And then guards. There are some guards out there that could be interesting. Of course, Zeitler's one of them. Joel Batonio's still there.
Yeah.
Mekhi Becton.
Yeah.
Alex Kappa. Greg Van Roten.
I'm surprised Becton's still on the market.
Cordell Volson is listed as an available free agent here. So this list may not be 100% accurate.
I thought Becton had signed with somebody.
He might have. Let me see.
I knew it was a
Now he is a free agent.
Oh, okay.
So maybe that's somebody that you bring in. But I mean, Zeitler would make sense at guard too, just having been here last season. I just say that June 1st is where you hope that somebody comes loose that maybe you weren't expecting.
Yeah.
But hope is not a strategy.
That hope is not a strategy. Yeah, you got that right, brother.
615-737-1025 is our phone number. We'll take your thoughts on the Titans and much more. I did want to get to this ranking ESPN did. This came out yesterday morning, ranking all 138 FBS quarterback situations. And I do think where Tennessee and Vanderbilt are will surprise you a little bit. We'll get into it coming up next in hour number 3. Jake Lyman, Cory Curtis, Parker Kelly, next man up, 102.5 The Game. Next man up, 102.5, the game final hour on this Wednesday. Jake Lyman, Cory Curtis, Parker Kelly. We are broadcasting from the Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville Studios, home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership, where the buzz is always about great service. Talked a lot of Titans in the last hour. We might get back into the Titans before the show wraps up, but I did see this ranking yesterday. David Hale at ESPN put out a ranking of all 138 FBS quarterback situations, which maybe a little over the top.
You think he's watched them all? You think he's gone in?
See, that's the question is, have you actually watched all of these quarterbacks play?
Yeah.
But, towards the top, especially with the Power Four, I think you can take this as kind of a measuring stick of where these schools should feel about their quarterbacks heading into 2026. There are 5 quarterbacks at the top.
Should I guess who they are?
Yeah, if you want to.
Well, Lenore Sellers.
No. Shocking, by the way, where he is. I'll tell you in a second.
All right, who's at Indiana?
Indiana's guy is Josh Hoover. He is in tier 3.
Okay.
So tier 1.
Oregon.
No, Dante Moore is not in here. He is in tier 2.
All right, I give up.
So the top 5 that he has so he has tier 1A, Miami and Darian Mensah, which I think is
from Duke, right?
From Duke, yes. So good player. I don't know if I would say he's top 5 in all of college football. CJ Carr at Notre Dame.
Okay.
Trinidad Chambliss at Ole Miss. I think what he did down the stretch surely puts him towards the top. Arch Manning at Texas.
Yeah, I can't believe I didn't think of Arch.
So those are the top 4.
Would you really put Trinidad ahead of Dante Moore?
I don't think I would.
But again, it's his poll.
Again, this is his rankings.
Yeah.
That's tier 1A. Tier 1B is titled great, but also has Jeremiah Smith, and that's Julian Saying. So
I don't disagree with
that's
that.
your top.
He also had Carnell Tate last year too.
Yes, yeah. I mean, and I'm sure there are other wide receivers coming in that are going to be right there with him. Tier 2 is, so I guess this would be players 6 through 8. Sam Levitt at LSU.
Okay.
Dante Moore, Dylan Raiola is also mentioned here because he's in that Oregon quarterback room. This is the situations, not the players, I guess.
Okay.
And then Jaden Mayava at USC.
Okay, yeah, I can see that.
Tier 3 is titled the Sean Clifford Zone. So he titles this as Sean Clifford won 32 games as Penn State starter. He was nearly always somewhere between solid and quite good. Against teams that finished the year ranked, however, he was a woeful 4-11. So I guess this is like the good but not great. I mentioned Josh Hoover at Indiana. Gunnar Stockton of Georgia is in here. And I kind of would have expected him to be a little bit higher.
Yeah.
This is, second full year as a starter. He has experience playing in the college football playoff. I know he hasn't been great, but I would have maybe put him in tier 2. This also has John Mateer at Oklahoma. Marcel Reed at Texas A&M.
Yeah, God, Marcel Reed was really good.
He was. Year. I mean, he was in the Heisman conversation for a little bit there. He fell out towards the end of the year.
I would think Reed is the first one where I guess Dante Moore I thought would be higher too, but Reed I would push up higher on that list as well.
This also has Rocco Becht, who transferred from Iowa State to Penn State. I might go a little bit lower with him.
Mm-hmm.
And then Devin Dampier at Utah, who is more of a runner. But he had Utah in the playoff conversation.
He also doesn't have the same head coach anymore.
Yes.
Which could hurt him dramatically.
So I will tell you, you mentioned Lenore Sellers, thinking he would be in tier 1.
Yeah, we haven't mentioned him yet.
So Lenore Sellers is in tier 9.
Wow.
According to David Hale. And he did not have a good year last year.
No, he did.
He is listed in this group called Crafty Veterans, is what he's David Hale has him. Lenore Sellers, Avery Johnson, who Parker, I did not know Avery Johnson
the Spurs
was back.
guard.
Kansas State's quarterback.
Who remember his dad got in a fight in Dublin?
Yes,
when they played Iowa State.
The Rocco Becht Avery Johnson battle in Farmageddon last year in Dublin. So Avery Johnson is back. They have Lenore Sellers here, Steve Angeli at Syracuse, Texas Tech's whole room, which who knows if Brandon Sorsby's going to be there.
Will Hammond, that's the guy.
And then Alonzo Barnett at UCF, who was previously JMU's quarterback.
But those guys are all ahead of Tennessee and Vanderbilt.
No, they are not.
Oh, okay. I thought
And
you
we
said-
will get to that
okay.
coming up next.
I thought you hadn't mentioned them.
We
so
will
I figured-
talk about Vanderbilt and Tennessee and where their
Okay.
quarterbacks end
Can
up.
I ask you something before we go?
Yeah.
Okay. So, of all those guys, and we're talking about who's going to be the first pick of the draft.
Yeah, good question.
We all expect it to be Arch Manning.
Yep.
Right? Okay. So, take Arch out of it.
Yep.
After Arch, who's the one you would bet on as being the next quarterback taken?
So, like, to have, if I had to guess right now, or who do I think could have that, like, rising effect throughout the season?
Yeah. Like at the end of the day, who do you think it's going to be? Not who it is right now. Because
I would say Dante Moore right now
Yeah, I
would
would
be
say
my
Dante
pick,
Moore.
right? Because he might have been the second overall pick this year.
Yeah. So I still see Moore and Sellers as guys that, I mean, if South Carolina wins 8 games, Sellers is going to he's going to have a big year.
Sellers, just the body, the
he's
arm,
huge.
the speed. Like, that's, I agree with you. I think Sellers has
Now, the kid at Southern Cal, he's a sophomore.
Mayava.
I think he was a true freshman last year.
No. He's going into year 3 with
Okay.
USC,
Okay.
and then he transferred from Fresno State.
Okay. all
Right. Yeah.
So he could, I mean, look, he could be really high too.
So here's my answer. I was a little surprised they put him in tier 1, but I think CJ Carr is one of those guys who could end up being somebody who's not talked about as an NFL quarterback as much right now, but on a good Notre Dame team has an opportunity to lead them to the playoff and maybe has his stock rise.
Do you think Notre Dame, I mean, they've run the ball so well. Do you think they throw it more this year?
I guess, I mean, I'm sure they have. I don't know exactly who their running backs behind Love and
I'll bet they're good.
I would bet they're good, but you're losing 2 first-round running backs from last year.
Yep.
So I think CJ Carr is going to be relied upon more. I think that would be the name. I don't know if I believe in Trinidad Chambliss to be that type of guy. Like, he showed so strong in the playoff, but like,
he's small.
He's small, and he wasn't being talked about as even a day 2 pick heading into the playoff. Do those games give him enough juice if he doesn't have a great year this year?
He might, and look, maybe he is an NFL quarterback, but maybe he's just a really special college quarterback.
Right.
Because they do exist.
Sayan would also be another guy who I think could be in that conversation.
Yeah. I mean, just because, look, he's going to win 11 games.
Right. And he's a highly recruited guy who has talent. Like, I mean, I think there's some options there, and that's it's the same thing we talked about last year. There were a lot of options, and all of them failed, and then Fernando Mendoza came out of nowhere to be the number 1 pick.
So these aren't the rankings that he's talking about, but when we're talking about draft
quarterbacks, this is about
saying Arch, Dante, Julian Sayin.
There's lots of names out there, and I think it's going to be one of those things where the way too early mock drafts that come out in August before the season are going to have 7 quarterbacks going in the first round, and some of those guys will have good years, some of them won't, and we'll have to see. 615
saw that last year,
right? Yeah,
none of them had a good year.
The graphic from Labor Day weekend showed Field Yates' way too early mock draft. It had quarterbacks going 1, 2, 3, and 6 in the first round, and it ended up being 2. Yeah, I mean, it was
none of those top 5 guys panned out.
Yeah. It was Levitt was in that conversation at Arizona State. Sellers, of course, Arch Manning, Nussmeier. So I mean,
Drew Aller.
Yeah, Aller was.
No, I was going to say they all flamed out.
Flamed out, and Mendoza rose from the ashes and ended up being.
No one had ever heard of him.
Yes, and who knows? Maybe like Josh Hoover at Indiana ends up being one of those guys. But
look, I'll bet you at the end of the year he's in the Heisman running.
Yep. 615-737-1025. We'll let you know where Vanderbilt and Tennessee end up in this ranking, because I thought it was interesting the difference between the two, given that both could be starting 5-star true freshman quarterbacks. 615-737-1025. Jake Lyman, Cory Curtis, Parker Kelly, next man up. 1025 The Game. Next man up, 1025 The Game. 1025 The Game and Maple Street Biscuit Company have teamed up and giving you a chance to win a pair of tickets in the all-inclusive 501 Club at Bridgestone Arena to the Music City Rodeo, followed by Charlie Crockett this Friday night. Text the keyword rodeo, RODEO, to 615-737-1025 now to enter to win. Our phone and text line driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Going through a ranking here from ESPN, David Hale at ESPN ranked all 138 quarterback situations around college football. And I haven't mentioned where Vanderbilt and Tennessee end up. So let's start with Vanderbilt. Jared Curtis, who is the only name listed, by the way, if there's a competition, and I know Clark Lee hasn't named a starter yet. Blaze Berlowitz is definitely in the conversation. But Jared Curtis is the name listed for Vanderbilt. It is in Tier 7, along with Alabama and TCU, which puts Jared Curtis and Vanderbilt's quarterback situation like 27 to 29 in all of college football. So
with a true freshman quarterback?
Right. That's higher than I expected it to be.
Yeah, I would take that.
Here is what David Hale wrote. He said, and then there's Vandy, which completely flipped its longtime script as a national afterthought thanks to the impact of Diego Pavia. Sadly, Pavia's career ended after his approximately 34th season. And the Commodores need to prove they're capable of playing at a high level with someone else at quarterback. Enter Curtis, a 5-star recruit who flipped to Vandy in one of the most shocking high school signings in recent memory. Will 2026 be smooth sailing despite the new faces at quarterback, or will the Power 4 learning curve be too steep for these talents? So that's basically what he said. He said,
what we've said.
He said, yeah, he does say odds are one of these guys is poised for stardom. The other quarterbacks, Keelan Russell and Austin Mack, competing at Alabama, newcomers, young guys. And then Jaden Craig at TCU, who transferred from Harvard, is in this as well, which I don't know how he really fits into this, but
he does.
I guess he was 20-4 at Harvard and had as many career interceptions as TCU's quarterbacks had last year alone.
Wow.
He was highly coveted in the portal.
Yeah.
So Jared Curtis ranked somewhere in the late 20s, right around 30 among college football quarterback situations. I'm a little surprised that you have to scroll all the way down to Tier 12 to find Tennessee and George McIntyre and Faison Brandon, which would put them right around 50th in college football.
I'm not surprised. And here's why. Because what have we heard about George McIntyre throughout the spring?
Not ready.
Not much.
Yeah,
right?
Not ready. Not physically, it doesn't seem like he's ready.
There are not glowing reviews coming from Knoxville saying, oh my gosh, he's going to pick up right up where Joey left off and blah, 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 blah. You're not hearing any of that. You're like wondering, is he or is Faison going to start?
Yep.
That you're still wondering. And like from what I understand, Faison's family wanted him to redshirt. And so, and also, by the way, if McIntyre's not blowing them away, and Faison isn't clearly the better choice, then they don't have. Then neither one of them is a great choice right now.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, that's fair.
And maybe I'm wrong, which happens, but from what we're hearing, okay, it doesn't sound like the quarterback situation is dynamic or great. Now, you don't always know because Hendon Hooker was the backup.
Yeah.
Joe Milton was the big shiny toy. And Hooker wound up being amazing in Knoxville.
Yeah.
And so you don't know, but just on what we're hearing, that doesn't surprise me.
Yeah, and I guess maybe Vanderbilt is a little higher than I expected them to be, just because there is uncertainty, right? Like Diego
comes from a very small private school.
Yes, and I mean, having watched him in the spring game,
don't hate on Division II single A.
Is it small?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. That's all I'm saying.
I played at that level.
I'm not saying he can't play. I'm just saying that there's something to prove there.
Yes, and it's a big jump, especially, and I think it's good he has a ramp up. It's Austin Peay, Delaware, then NC State, and then you're into the SEC schedule.
Yeah, that is good.
So there's a ramp up there, but you're right, it is a big jump. Having watched him in the spring game, I'm very impressed with Jared Curtis, and I think he seems to live up to the hype, at least physically, with what he's able to do. But playing SEC football is not easy, especially as an 18 or a 19-year-old. So I was a little surprised that they had Curtis in the top 30 when no matter who starts for Tennessee, it's a freshman who has not played at all. So there's the same level of uncertainty, I would say, of whether they're going to be able to do it at the next level, at least as a freshman.
Well, and again, these guys, I mean, McIntyre was a 4 or 5-star recruit, I think, depending on the service you looked at.
Yep.
And Brandon
is a 5-star
recruit. A 5-star recruit. But I think, Jared Curtis, different level.
Yeah.
Different level 5-star.
Yes, he was the top quarterback recruit in the country.
Okay. And so that's the difference. That's the difference. And, look, if you're Tennessee, you want one of these guys to be the guy. At Vanderbilt, he has to be the guy.
Yeah.
He has to be the guy. If he's not, it's like drafting a quarterback first overall. It's going to set you back.
Yeah, no, and I think that's a good point of you. Jared Curtis is the highest ranked recruit that's ever come to Vanderbilt. Like, the expectation is that maybe it's not a linear growth of, all right, Pavia got you to 10 wins. Now you've got the possible NFL first round pick quarterback. You can take another step. I don't know if it's going to happen this year with a freshman quarterback. That's a lot to ask, but I think you are hoping that next year you're heading into 2027 feeling like we've got a Heisman contender who can take us to that next level.
You certainly need to see enough to think that he's the stuff, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's all there is to it. I mean, he's being paid for that. And look, we all miss.
Yeah.
And whether it be recruiting or in drafting, we all miss. But everything points to him being the guy.
Yeah.
The guy. I mean, Nate Bargatze comes out, puts him in his movie.
Brings him on McAfee last week.
Yeah.
Did you see that?
No, I did not.
We were wrapping up the show and we turned around and Jared Curtis is walking out onto the set at McAfee. It's not like he was zooming in. He was at their little compound that they've got.
The Thunderdome.
He
was there with Nate Bargatze.
Yeah, that's just saying. He's in his movie.
Which that comes out Friday, I think.
Which is one of the great NIL promos of all time.
How funny is that to put him in the movie?
Well, I wonder if that was like their last second appeal. Hey, we're going to put you in this movie. You're going to get a SAG card and you're going to get paid for this for the rest of your life.
No, and it was funny because it started at College Game Day for that Missouri game when Jared Curtis was visiting and Nate Bargatze was the guest picker, and just in between random picks was saying, "Hey, Jared Curtis, I want you to come to Vanderbilt, by the way." And putting it out there, and it all ended up working out. So I'm excited for this season, I think, for both Vanderbilt and Tennessee. Now, we said it the other day that if it's a 12-team playoff, I don't think either of these teams should expect to be in this year. If it's a 12-team playoff, I don't see these teams being 10-win teams in 2026. But if it's a 24-team playoff, I think both of these teams have the talent. If the quarterbacks are able to be solid, they don't have to be great. If they're solid, I do think that these teams could contend for a 24-team playoff.
Let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
If there's a 24-team playoff and Tennessee's not in.
Yeah, that seat gets a little.
Is Josh Heupel in trouble?
Yeah, because I think for Vanderbilt, Clark Lee has gained a longer leash of, all right,
the bar's not as high.
Right. Well, yes, I agree with that. But also, you've gotten proof of concept that this team can be playoff adjacent.
Mm-hmm.
Now you've got the recruiting that is starting
one time.
Yes, but you're seeing the momentum that comes with that.
Yeah.
Vanderbilt's recruiting classes are taking a step forward. The transfer portal has
they've already lost some of those guys, by the way.
I saw one guy was visiting LSU. I don't know if he.
I think the guy
the linebacker
who was the top defensive player. I think he left.
I don't know if he decommitted. I did see he was taking another visit, but
okay.
But you've seen the momentum from the success they've had the last 2 years start to build the program up. With Tennessee, last year felt like a step backwards, right? You made the playoffs 2 years ago. This year, you weren't really in the conversation. You were unranked at the end of the season. So I do think, if they end this season outside the top 25, I don't think Heupel gets fired, but I do think that the seat gets warm.
Well, I think there's a difference between 8-4 and
6-6.
Yeah, 7-5.
Yeah,
I mean, I think 6-6, 7-5. He's in trouble.
I think Danny White's going to be in his corner, but I do think with some of the trends,
What? Okay, if they go 7-5, 6-6, and Vanderbilt wins 8 or more games and beats them again, he's in trouble.
Yeah, I definitely think if you're looking at, we can do this coming back because I saw another list here of coaches who do you think in the SEC, after basically half the league got fired last year, who is on the hot seat heading into 2026? We can talk about that coming up next. 615-737-1025. Jake Lyman, Cory Curtis, Parker Kelly. Next man up. 1025 The Game. Next man up, 1025 The Game. Final half hour on this Wednesday morning. Chasing Big Joe coming up at noon. We were looking through the quarterback situations.
I think I saw Elton John on my way here today.
Really?
Yeah, there's a guy walking down Murfreesboro Road. He was wearing like sweatpants, like a Mexican, like what do you call it? Where it's just like
a poncho?
Poncho, yeah. And he had big red glasses on.
Wow.
And he was kind of balding on the top.
You should have asked him if he wanted to join us today.
And I was like, that looks like Elton John.
Are you an Elton John fan?
I respect Elton John.
Yeah,
I know a bunch of Elton John songs. I'll put it to you that way.
There we go.
Okay.
There are definitely multiple Elton John songs
That's
that I like.
Sir Elton John.
Yeah, that's true. The Ohio State University.
Gosh, okay. Elton John was around when I was like 5 years old.
He'd been around for a while.
I mean, he's old.
Yeah, how old is Elton John?
He's got to be almost 80 now.
Elton John is 79. Well done.
Boom!
Yeah, he just turned 79 in March.
He should play celebrity birthdays with.
Yeah,
Chase and
that's
Big
true.
Joe.
Yeah, you can
Probably
jump
not.
in as a celebrity.
Birthday?
Yeah,
How old?
yeah. It's always you have to guess when whoever's birthday it is. How old are they turning?
Okay.
You have to get it within 2 years. You would have
I would've
just gotten a point there.
Boom. 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 Boom.
So we were looking at Tennessee and Vanderbilt's
Yeah.
quarterback
Sorry.
situations, and we were talking about Josh Heupel and like what are the expectations heading into this year, and where does it leave him if he falls short of those expectations this season? And I asked the question, like in the SEC, after basically half the league replaced their coach this offseason,
Yeah.
who is entering this year with the most to prove? And I think Shane Beamer,
Mm-hmm.
Jeff Lebby at Mississippi State,
Yep.
and Kalen DeBoer would be the three that I look at. And it's like, I wouldn't feel comfortable if I was those three,
No.
even though DeBoer did just sign an extension.
Yeah.
But it's Alabama also, right? Like
Yep.
if he has a bad year, he's going to be gone.
Yep.
So those three, I think, stand out. But you're looking at first-year coaches at Arkansas, Auburn, Florida, Kentucky, LSU, Ole Miss. So those guys aren't on the hot seat. If I had to pick a fourth one after those three, would it be Josh Heupel? Maybe Brett Venables? Like I think it's one of those
I was going
two.
to say, if one of those two guys has like a 7-win season or less, they're on the hot seat.
Yeah.
They just are.
Because Venables was on the hot seat last year,
Yep.
and he saved his job by making the playoffs. Now, how
Yep.
long does the I made the playoffs leash get you? Does it
Mhm.
get you 2 more seasons? I would say probably for Venables. But Heupel is now entering the second season beyond the playoff, and they're having another.
And they got whacked in the playoff.
Yeah, yeah, right. It's not like it was a strong showing in the playoff.
No.
They got crushed.
They got one and crushed.
So you're coming off an 8-5 year last year. You're going to have a young, inexperienced quarterback this year. Now, I don't think he gets fired if they go 8-4. I don't even think he would get fired if they went 7-5. But I do think
There'd be calls for it.
I think if they miss the playoff this year, especially if it's a 2014 playoff, of course, I think that he heads into next year with one of, if not the hottest seat in the SEC.
Yeah, I think 8 wins or less, and he heads in with a pretty hot seat. But like if it's 7 or 6,
Yeah.
the seat's hot now, and
Right.
it's a win or die next year.
Well, speaking of rankings, CBS Sports this morning, Tom Fornelli at CBS put out his top 25 coaches in college football. He has Heupel at 19.
Yeah, I don't think he's a bad
I think he's a
coach.
good coach.
I just know what the expectations are.
Right. And
That's all this is based on.
especially if they expand the playoff again.
Mm-hmm.
And it's you look at it and you say the entire top 25 is getting in.
Mm-hmm.
You have, if you're Tennessee, your fans need you to be in that conversation.
Mm-hmm.
And I think
That you've got the money for it.
yes.
I mean, they're paying for that. And if you can't deliver it, they're going to find somebody else who can.
Yeah.
Or
And
keep trying.
I do think that you have to give Heupel some grace because again, the quarterback situation is up in the air. McIntyre and Brandon are
It's
not
his
proven.
quarterback situation.
And they couldn't, they did make an effort, right? We talk about blaming Borgonzi if the offensive
Yeah.
line fails. I think they made an effort to do better than they did on the offensive line. And Tennessee obviously did. Sam Levitt was in Knoxville. They were
Mhm.
trying to get Sam Levitt in the transfer portal, and it didn't work out. So, yes,
Which tells you they don't
truly believe in either of these guys.
That's right.
It's I'm excited for college football season. I hate that it's only May and we've got 3.5 months to get ready for this, but I do think Tennessee and Vanderbilt are both going to be solid this year. It's a lot of it is just going to come down to the quarterback position and what do you get out of those young guys or inexperienced guys who have not played a whole lot of football at the college level.
Well, and look, I think Vanderbilt's roster was valued at $26 million. Was the number I saw? I don't know. I can't say it for fact. I saw it.
There was a Twitter account that was posting all of
Yeah.
those. I remember seeing it, but I don't remember what it said.
And again, if theirs is $26 million, Tennessee's is more. All right. There's a cost that comes with that.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's the expectations that come with that.
Yeah. Well, and there are people writing checks
Yeah.
that want to win.
Yes.
All right. Now, people have always been writing checks. I think the checks are bigger now because
Yeah.
they're legal.
And
all right.
As we saw last year, the donors writing checks to pay for the players are going to be much quicker to write the checks to get rid of the coaches sometimes. Because of the era that we live in. I mean, I've never seen a coaching carousel like last year, and especially the quick triggers on it. Franklin's gone 6 games into the season.
Yeah, that was crazy.
Brian Kelly's gone 8 games into the season. And,
but both of those guys had what? Really high paying rosters that weren't producing.
There's an argument to be made that those were 2 of the 5 most talented rosters heading into the season.
2 of the 5 most expensive.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm saying. That you're wondering who's on the hot seat.
Yeah.
It's the guy who's got the expensive roster who doesn't live up to it.
Yeah.
Josh Heupel has an expensive roster.
Right.
And if they don't win big, the people who write those checks are not going to be. And I'm not sitting here campaigning to get. I'm just saying these guys, none of them are as safe as you think they are.
Right. And we saw it firsthand last year with some of the fires that I think were maybe not unexpected, but surprising given when they happened. I think it was Kirby Smart yesterday. They asked him about the talk of him having a $40 million roster this year. And he goes, we had a $40 million roster last year, and it didn't seem to help us all that much, which it shows you the expectations there that they played in a national quarterfinal and won the SEC. Not good enough.
No. Every school is different on what that expect. I mean, Georgia is at an expectation now where they play for championships.
Yes.
And if they don't play for championships, it's a disappointing year.
Yep. That's what winning back-to-back national championships will do.
And of course, Alabama was there for a long time.
Yeah.
And I don't know if they're there anymore.
Yeah, I mean, I think the expectations are obviously still high for them, but I think you also look at it and say, you're not going to find another Nick Saban, right?
No.
It's going to be a fun college football season. When is I tried to figure this out last week too. When are SEC media days?
They're going on right now.
No, that's meetings.
Oh, okay.
July
20th through 23rd.
Where are they having them this year?
Tampa.
Yeah. I know a station that won't be there.
July 20th through 23rd in Tampa. So we're 2 months away from that, where it's a week-long just content fest from SEC Media Days, which will be great. 615-737-1025 is the phone number. We got one more segment.
Diego Pavia in a
That is
tuxedo.
true. Yeah, I won't have Diego Pavia roaming around this year. But
Boo.
there's going to be characters. Lane Kiffin.
Oh, gosh. Yeah, I heard Coach O was back on the staff.
Yes, Coach O is back.
Go Tigers.
He's going to be over there with his shirt off. What's the first thing you do when you get in a fight? You take your shirt off.
Somebody tweeted when the announcement was made, either LSU is going to win multiple national championships over the next few years, or everybody's going to prison. There is no in between. 615-737-1025. We got one more segment left on the show. We will wrap it up after this. Jake Lyman, Cory Curtis, Parker Kelly, next man. The Game.
Tigers. Go 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 Tigers.
The best. Coach O being back is, as Cory said right as we went to break, it's just good for college football having him back. Next man up, 102.5 The Game, Jake Lyman, Cory Curtis, Parker Kelly. Last segment here, Chase and Big Joe are coming up next. Tomorrow on the show, we will have Teron Davenport in studio. Big thanks to TD in the YouTube chat. He was letting us know we were talking about possible centers out there on the market. Sam Mustipher, I knew I recognized the name, was actually at camp with the Titans last year. So
wasn't he a former Notre Dame center?
That sounds right. But excited to have TD on tomorrow.
Yeah, I think he was.
Yes, he was Notre Dame.
I remember.
Well
him.
done.
I remember him. He's
spent some time with the Broncos, the Chargers, the Bears, the Ravens. So he's been around.
A little squatty.
Yeah. So we'll see if maybe he ends up being a camp body to add to that room. But TD will be with us tomorrow, 9 to noon. Excited for that, talking Titans and much more. Before we wrap up the show, we didn't talk about Vegas sweeping Colorado last night. I mean, what a turnaround for the Golden Knights after firing Bruce Cassidy. Yeah. They bring in Torts, and I think I saw they're 19-4-1 since that move. They just swept the President's Trophy champs in Colorado, who the curse just continues for the President's Trophy. And now they await the winner of Montreal and Carolina in the Stanley Cup final, their third Stanley Cup final in 9 years of existence out there in Vegas.
Look, the first one was so improbable because it was in year one.
Right.
This one might be more improbable.
Yeah.
I mean, they fired their coach with 5 games to go. And you know, they told Torts just kind of basically keep the bench warm until we hire the next guy for next year. And now I don't know how they don't hire him.
Right. I mean, he just took you to the Stanley Cup final.
Yeah. I mean, you just swept the best team in hockey. And, you know, look, the Avs had a chance to make it a series up 3-0 in game 2. And they blew that lead and the series was over.
Yep.
I mean, it was over at that point. And, you know, the Avs have got some injuries. Their goaltending has not been the best, even though they've been the best team. But this is, I read you the list. There's like 8 teams that had better records.
Yes. That didn't make the playoffs.
That didn't make the playoffs. I mean, they had 39 wins. They play 82 games. They won less than half of their games.
Yes.
Okay.
And they had a stretch. I'm looking at their schedule now from January 19th up until March 28th. So over 2 months where they lost 19 out of 27 games.
Yeah.
Like that's horrible.
This is what we always talk about when we talk about the Preds, and people are like, well, I don't want to go to the playoffs and just lose in the first round. You just never know. The NHL playoffs are the most unpredictable of all of them. We've seen it. I mean, Edmonton went to the finals as an 8 seed once. The LA
Preds
Kings
were the 8 seed when they went.
The Preds were an 8 seed when they went to the finals. The LA Kings with Jonathan Quick.
Yeah.
You know, didn't they win the cup that year when they got in on the last day of the season? So this is why we always talk about you get in and you see what the matchups are and you see what you can do, because nobody had this.
Right. And especially against Colorado, sweeping the Colorado Avalanche, who were the best team in the league all year long.
Yes,
at one point, it looked like they were on track for a historic type season. I know Boston broke the points record a couple of years ago. Colorado looked like they were on track to do that and to sweep them. I know Cale Makar missed the first 2 games. Nathan McKinnon missed a little bit of game 3, and I don't think he was 100% last night.
It's not good enough.
But
it's not a good enough excuse.
It's your 2 best players, but getting swept is still, I agree. Like it's shocking to see what happened over the last week.
I mean, look, you're the best team in hockey, and this is a team that barely got in. And I understand they're your best 2 players. I do, but you didn't play without them the whole time. Okay. And I mean, when the Preds made the finals, they lost Kevin Fiala. They lost Ryan Johansson. They lost Mike Fisher for a while to concussion, and then he came back. I mean, when you go to the playoffs, you know, you're going to lose some people. And when you're the best team in hockey, it's not because of just 2 players. All right. And this is a massive fail for Colorado. As good of a story as it is for Vegas, this is a massive fail for Colorado.
Yeah.
And there will be massive implications for them after this season. I mean, I expect them to address the goaltender situation. That's why, if the Preds really wanted to trade UC Saros, do you think the Avs would have been listeners?
Yeah. Well, because it was Scott Wedgwood who the Preds traded for Justus Sonnen, and they did the flip. And then Mackenzie Blackwood, who there was a one trip down where he made back-to-back just insane saves against Dorofeev last night. But obviously not good enough. He gives up the goal.
A 3-0 lead.
He gives up the goal to former Pred Cole Smith that ended up being the game winner and a series clincher.
Yeah.
And there has been rumors, nothing confirmed yet, as we wait on a Preds GM search, that Chris McFarland, the Avalanche GM, could be a possibility.
Wow.
So now that they are eliminated from the playoffs, maybe that's something that comes to fruition. I don't know, but there has been rumblings.
Yeah, for Vegas, congratulations. I mean, it's unbelievable, and I look forward to them hiring Torts and then firing him in 8 months, because that's what happens with him.
Yep. He wears out his welcome very quickly.
Yes, he does. He's not a real happy guy. He's already cost them a 2nd-round pick.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did.
But I mean, this is one of the most unlikely playoff. I mean, this is like straight out of Major League.
Yeah.
I mean, they found a focal point, right? With 5 games to go. They found a focal point. Hey, we all just going to rally and we're all going to play. And it all, it all came together.
Yeah.
What did Coach Brown used to always say? We just need one thing to bring it all together. Well, firing the coach and bringing in Torch for whatever reason in Vegas, it brought it all together.
Yep.
And they're there.
They now wait on Carolina and Montreal. Game 4 tonight in Montreal. It is a 2-1 Hurricanes lead right now.
We expect Carolina to win that series.
Yes, I would pick Carolina.
And we expect Carolina to win the cup.
Yes.
But I don't know if anybody feels good about making that bet right now.
Well, and so in the NBA too, Knicks get the sweep of the Cavaliers. They've now won 11 straight games, and
they're like the Patriots,
the best point differential in NBA history in an 11-game stretch. They wait on Thunder Spurs, which Thunder took Game 5 last night. They're up 3-2 heading back to San Antonio.
Give me the Western Conference. I don't care.
So I was going to ask you, you've got 2 teams that swept through the conference finals waiting. Both will be underdogs if Carolina wins, right? I don't know if it matters if it's Thunder Spurs. The Knicks will be underdogs in that series. In hockey, I do think if Carolina wins, they will be the favorite.
Mm-hmm.
Which one do you believe in more, Knicks or the Golden Knights, to pull off the upset and win the championship?
Golden Knights.
I think I'd agree with you.
Golden Knights, because it's hockey.
Right. Basketball, the Knicks are good. And Jalen Brunson, I don't want this to seem like I am taking anything away from Jalen Brunson, who's been a great player, especially in the playoffs. He's not Wemby. He's not SGA.
Well, yeah. And I've heard people talking about, is he the greatest Knick of all time? I mean, he's just going to the finals for the first time.
Yeah.
Willis Reed.
There's a lot
Bernard
of great
King,
Knicks.
Walt Frazier.
Yeah.
I mean, these guys are legendary.
Yeah.
Legend. And Jalen Brunson is great. But the sample size is really small.
Yeah.
And until this playoff run, I don't think anybody was saying that.
Yeah.
So don't be a victim of the moment. And again, 5 more years, maybe we have that conversation.
They win one this year and they win another one in a couple of years, then sure. But
he's not doing no play for Mr. Gray commercials.
Yeah.
That's Walt.
I'm still, even though the Knicks, I think, get it to 6, I would have said it's a gentleman's sweep before the conference finals. I'll believe in the Knicks a little bit more. I'm going to say winner of the West in 6. On the other side, I'll go Carolina in 7. I think it's going to be a good series if we get Carolina Vegas in the Stanley Cup final.
Vegas has got it going. So, but I think Carolina's superior. So we'll see. Look, the Knicks, and I know there are Knicks fans out there. It's like the Patriots. Congratulations, you got there, and you beat who was in front of you. But you beat trash in the first round. Okay?
Yeah, the Hawks.
Yes, you beat trash.
And
then you got the Sixers instead of the Celtics.
Yep.
That's not your fault. It's not.
Yeah, you can only play who's across the court from you.
But if you played the Celtics, I don't think anybody was picking the Knicks in that series.
I would agree.
Okay. And so everybody knows you got the easier out with the Sixers. And then the Cavs imploded.
Yep.
I mean, the Cavs had chance after chance to beat you.
Yeah.
And again, you did the things it took. So congratulations. But just like with the Patriots beating the Texans when CJ Stroud gave the game away.
Yeah.
The Cavs gave games away.
Yeah. 22-point lead in the fourth quarter.
And I guess all I'm saying is they got to the finals, and that's great. Congratulations. They're going to be outmanned in the finals, and they're going to lose.
Corey, thanks for coming in. It's been a blast. We will do it again next week.
Word.
TD in with us tomorrow at 9 a.m. Keep it right here. Chasing Big Joe coming up next here on 102.5 The Game.